Well, hello. Hope your day's treating you well so far. My name is John Williams. I'm the owner and operator of What Was That Radio, which is via whatwasthatradio.com, a place to dive into pure modern rock discovery. Over 5,000 bands. The oldest we go back is 2017. 90% of the playlist and releases are from 2020 onwards. It's a wonderfully niche little modern rock station, basically, after I worked in commercial radio for over a decade in modern rock radio, which I love. But I wanted to push my passions to their ultimate limit. And so starting and creating your own baby station felt like what it made sense in my mid-30s, to be honest with you. Jeen is a performer that has been releasing brilliant music for over 20 years out of Ontario, Canada. And Jeen is who this conversation is with today. And we spoke for a long time. So let's get straight to it. Cheesy, cheesy, cheesy. Ting. First time I've used that today. I don't know if I use it in this conversation actually or not. I'm recording this intro the day after we did it. And here it is.
Hey, John, can you see me at all?
I can't see you yet. No, I see the name Stefan.
That's my drummer and my husband. Maybe also I should probably get him up here to fix that. I'm like, this is literally my first time doing this, John. So
is it? Oh, that's really cool. Well, look, there's no, just chill. You're already chilled, I know, but there's no need to worry about anything. It's all going to figure itself out.
No, but I want to make sure. Let me see. Okay, select camera.
I'll just let you know what the viewers are up to. Bill is finishing up for the day, and looky what I have come into. Loving this, looking forward to the chat. Wonderful. Well, welcome from Jeen and I, and from Stefan, who's probably going to join us too to figure out the Zoom.
Yeah, he's going to come here in a second, help me figure this out.
But you're 5 minutes early, so I can.
That's why I came 5 minutes early, John. I knew this was going to happen.
Oh shit! And then I throw you right into the fire.
Disabled. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, well, that's not very polite. Let me have a quick look here. Asked to start video. I've asked.
Start my video. Okay, I'm clicking. Failed to start the video. Please select another camera in settings. All right.
Are you on a laptop, a PC, a phone?
I'm in front of my PC, and I've got my little camera in front of me that was working great. I can hear my husband coming.
My God.
I swear to God. I wish I had like a joke or something, but
I like the old school phone that just rang for a split second.
Yeah, that's old school. I can't believe that's old school.
Is that still cable or is it just a wireless?
It's wireless, super high tech old school, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's varying grades of old school.
Yes.
Like
when you're old as me, you need to help me. He's giving me the thumbs up. I'm like, no thumbs up.
Stefan, please.
See what I mean? Like, it's sort of saying, like, it said choose a video, and I choose that, but it won't let me.
No, okay, go to that again.
This?
Go to video settings. That's the It's Pro webcam.
Oh, please don't do that.
I feel like now is the time I should be asking you for your bank account information.
I know, right?
For your mother's maiden name and for any other passwords that you might use. Because this is all just a ruse. It's not an interview about your musical career and ability. It's just trying to get that webcam that we can't see so I can sell it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. That's right. Go back to that other screen, Jeen.
Yeah. Where am I going?
Now, do you have any other programs open that might be using the webcam or camera that you use? Because sometimes Zoom gets a bit picky about that.
Please select another video camera. No, I don't think so, John.
That's okay. Go to that. Go to that again. Choose virtual background. Go to video settings.
Where?
The video settings. Now click that thing.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah,
it's the only one we have. That's the only one that's.
Yeah, it's weird, John, because it's giving me like.
Why don't you
telling me to like use another video camera? But I had tested this out. I got someone else to call me and everything, so this wouldn't happen.
Right.
And it's happening.
So, and go back to the home.
Hey, you know what? Do you mind if I close this and click the link again? Because I'm going to try and go into the Jeen section instead of stepping, and maybe that's going to help because I'm on since I'm on his, maybe that's screwing it up. Can you give me 1 minute?
Oh gosh, yeah, no, you just exit the meeting, do what you got to do, and it's still going to keep going. So I'll see when you jump back in.
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Okay, zero stress.
I'll fix this up.
See you in a second.
Yeah, see you in a sec.
And then there was two of me. I'd like to take this opportunity a moment to alert you all to the fact that there are What Was That radio mugs. Technically, there's only 2 of these, made as a Christmas and birthday surprise by my best friend Boopa Doopy. But if you're interested, please do be aware of the fact that I don't plan on making any anytime soon. So you can make an offer for neither of these because they won't be available either. And that's the joke. No. We're going to be working on, I think, toques or beanies before we get to muggies. But let's dive into the chat. Steve's done early heading home. The aircon is fixed. I think I'll just go back to just me and tell Jeen and Stefan already. Bill's finished up. Looking forward to the chat. Who else we got in the background here? Jody. There's Alexis. There's 420. Whoever you are, that's I love that. I like to take 420 steps every night before bed. 420 F1TC001. It's a very particular name, which I almost feel you knew no one else would have when you selected it. Hello as well to Alien Gathering. Always a big fan. I believe it's stupid of human nature to presume that we are the only specimens of which have any kind of power on a planet. Commander Root, don't know if you're a bot or real, but I appreciate you rooting on. Danking Around, good to see you. Mogul Mail, lovely, lovely. Peen Train, been a while since I've seen your name around. Peen Train, good to see you. Been following for an awful long time, since November of 2021. I appreciate the support. And Steve as well. Really appreciate you all being here. So Jeen, whilst Jeen and Stefan figure that out, is, in my mind, an utterly brilliant singer-songwriter, performer, very prolific, based out of Ontario here in Canada, has released a wealth of records in the last several years. The new album is out October 21st. And let's see if this will work this time as we re-enter the chat. Seems the same situation right now.
Yeah, I got to get out of your name here, Steph.
You might have to log in and log out through the old Google train. I mean, that's what I do for Zoom. I don't know what you do for Zoom, but.
Okay, close it.
All right, John, I'm going to give it one more go. Give me a sec. I'm sorry about this.
No sorries needed. It's going to be awesome when we get going, but we're already going and it's already awesome. See you in a second.
Okay.
All right. What else we got going here? Tippy, looking forward to the show, Tippy. I appreciate that. Tippy, do you follow the account yet? You created the account 5 minutes ago. Oh, if you could follow the account, that would be so awesome. I am 2 away from having the ability to throw some John emojis into the mixer. Peen Train, Courtney here. Tippy asks Stephen. Stephen, Tippy, just select follow. You will try. Lovely, thank you. Peen Train, Courtney here, you say, after a little bit of real life name change. Been a Jeen fan since about 2008. Oh, that is perfect. Peen Train, everything that you've ever want answered. Tippy, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for the follow. Awesome. Courtney, anything that you've got question-wise, just throw it in the chat. Now, this is the chance. We've already had such a wonderful warm start with the 2 of them that... absolutely, I can hold almost hostage over the poor Zoom link sarcastically to get your answers from your questions. To get your questions answered, yeah, that's where we were going with that. I'm really excited. Side note today, I broadcast using a Rodecaster 1 soundboard, and it was primarily released 5 years back to be used for podcasters on the go, and then they sort of tried with some updates and hardware updates to get involved in more of a stream situation. But what they've announced and released as of a few weeks ago, the Rodecaster 2, is going to elevate what I do with What Was That Radio, whether it's the streams or whether it's primarily the radio station via whatwasthatradio.com. It is going to help me so much. Like, for those of you that have watched me for years, you know I've got this looper that I play around with. I've obviously got my sound effects and other bits and pieces I can put on there. I mean, mainly, let's just go across here. Those are the ones that come with it. The ones that I've added to it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No one's got time for it. It's pretty neat.
How neat is that?
It's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
But the new Rodecaster that I ordered today, using the wonderful money of that support me and sign up for whatwasthatradio.com, and will be here in hopefully 2 or 3 days, has everything built in, a looper built in, all the sound effects built in, even more availability to connect more devices and phones and just all this nerdy shit that I'm so excited for. As Jeen jumps into the old... Now I see a Jeen here. Let's see. I want to go to verses. Jeen is connecting to audio. The video's still not showing up. Fascinating. I'm just checking that I'm allowing video. Yeah. Allow. Participants. Yeah, it's all good on my end. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that gear getting here. Hopefully by the end of the week, and then can just start playing with it. I'll show you all it. I'll nerd out and make a little video or talk about it during the show and whatnot, or stream and show you it. But it's going to enable me to basically clear a bunch of space on the desk, streamline my use of the space on the desk and my use of gear. And then it's also going to enable me to have a Rodecaster that I can pass on to a broadcaster wannabe, a podcaster wannabe through the academy. Hello, Jeen.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but can you see me?
I can't see you yet, no.
Damn it. Well, we could speak, or we could keep wrestling with this. Or my husband's gone to get, here again it's saying, ask host to start your video.
Well, I'm asking you to start video. I'm trying to send through a thing to you in case I'd locked it, but I checked and I haven't locked.
Oh, exactly. I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm clicking like my stuff, and then it's like, I'm going to just try to see if I can get in through my iPad.
This is great. It is what it is. I'm just glad that you're just rolling with it and not getting flustered and frustrated, because it would be such a shame to start like that.
No, I'm very, very chill. Can you see me now?
Not yet. And we've actually got a viewer. Oh, I've got another Jeen coming in here.
That's the one there.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh, yes. All right. Let me boot the other Jeen.
Okay, now I don't think you've got my audio in my other one.
Wi-Fi.
Fuck's sake. I'm glad I can swear.
Jesus. Oh, now we've got two of them. So I'm gonna boot the one I think is not working. Like that.
All right. Did I get rid of that gross sound?
We have you. So now all we've got to do is turn it sideways widescreen mode.
Like, I feel like I'm like a boomer.
You will.
Okay, problem is I'm gonna have to hold this shit in my hands now.
Oh no, we can't balance it. Stefan, can we balance it? Hello to you, sir. Good to see you.
You're like super. You guys are like bros now. Now, can we balance it? Something I would have done prior to this fucking phone call. Can you balance it vicariously? Yeah, I'm gonna be like sweating by the time we have this conversation.
Oh,
that's for sure.
It's 35 degrees in our house right now. We've got all the windows and doors shut to try and keep the hot air out. But don't worry, I'm already well ahead of you on the sweat. And I'd gone to lunch.
Do you have a fish back there? Is that a fish tank or something?
That's a fish tank. Yes, actually, fun fact for you, Jeen, is that we went to get some new. What do we get in the kitchen, Jody and Harley? Dollies or guppies, or what are they? Mollies. Thank you both in the kitchen. Jody, my partner's in the kitchen, and Harley, her 8-year-old son, is in the kitchen. We went to get mollies the other day, and then we found out that we've only got 3 guppies, 3 mollies, and we've got a sort of catfish, suckerfish. I can't pronounce their name properly. But when we were telling the lady at the store about it, just to check that we didn't overload the tank and have too much for a lack of literage and all this sort of biology and science shit, and she was like, "Oh, the one that you've got grows to about 2.5 feet long," and we were like, "Oh, that's wider than the tank." So we'll see.
2.5 feet.
Yeah, so you can't see from here, but if I had an extended camera cable, I would take it over there because they're hanging out in the front right now, and they've grown from like this. I guess your camera is here to about this in the last year, and for those of you here, it's gone from like maybe that to that in the last year. So it will only grow to the size of the tank, or so we hope. But we love it. That's our little fish tank.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that reminds me of that Dr. Seuss story, like, you know, where he's like, don't feed the fish, only feed it so much, or it'll keep growing, and it grows and grows and grows to like this monster, demented mega fish. But if you don't know the story, it probably sounds pretty weird, but
no,
it's a good story.
I know that story because of Jody and Harley in the kitchen who are watching this and probably smiling about it, because I feel like we only read that recently, a few months ago, for the second or third time since I've been in their lives the last 2.5 years here. But no, I'm familiar with that. I've learned of a lot of kids' stories since I met Harley, and I'm all the better for it. That is like, because it's basically where that fish ends up being in the fish tank at home, and then in a little pool in the garden after being in the bathtub, and then it gets taken to like the regional swimming pool, and then it just is colossal. Yeah.
Yeah, takes over.
Are you still having to hold and hold your iPad?
Yeah, I'm still holding. Honestly, man, I'm just glad this is working. You know how stressful that is? I knew it was going to happen too. I prepared like you couldn't prepare, but you know, just shit happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what you were talking about with On and On, when you said in the press release that everything was just grinding you down and shit kept hitting the fan and you wanted to just poke your head up and breathe.
Yeah, I still haven't yet.
And this is
waiting for that. I'm still waiting for that breath, but you know.
Actually, the cool thing about the fact that you're holding this, as annoying as it will be for you, especially you seem great now, but in an hour's time, I think it might be a different situation. But we actually get to see if you're willing to share. I'm presuming you're in like a studio creative space with all the carpets and drapes up behind you. Is this HQ for you and Stefan, the creative room?
Yeah, this is, well, yeah. Yeah, it's a shitty, unfinished attic, but yes, it is the creative space. Yeah.
And it's home. You've lived there for a while, for a little bit.
Yeah, I've lived in this place for, I don't know, probably like 10 years. So quite a while. Made like past few records right. Well, no, that's a lie. Made the demos here. Then I brought the last few records into studio, but gift shop like 3 or 4 years ago, I pretty much made most of it up here. Sorry if this is like, is this a shit angle too? I have this like little tiny, well, don't worry, John. That's just me being vain.
No, there's nothing wrong with the angle. I was going to say, if you're comfortable, can we see what the room looks like, or is it just you want to keep it to this angle and the rest is private for now? Either, whatever's comfortable.
I wouldn't say it's private, but it's pretty shitty. I can show you something.
God.
Private makes it sound a little too extravagant. There's my guitar.
Yeah. There's the phone we heard ringing when we couldn't see with the camera off.
Yeah, the phone. That's right. There's a window. I don't know if you can see it, but I feed birds out it all the time. And I actually cut like a piece out of the screen because I wanted them to come more. So I do that all the time. What else do I have around?
Jeen, let's not skip beyond this wonderful hallmark moment. You're saying that you've cut a circle or a square into the string and you just place your hand through.
Well, I made like
with seeds on it.
Small enough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like place my hands out there. I just like kind of like push. I made a hole big enough that I could push the seeds out the hole. So then they all come to the windowsill when I'm up here working.
Right. Okay. So it's not full on, bird love, rip the screen down and just let them in and chill out and shit everywhere whilst you write music.
I would do that. But my husband and drummer, like I was really, really pushing it with the like, can I cut a hole in the new screen? And then I did a secret one. He's gone now, so I can tell you. One day, a big giant ass bee got caught in between the two windows. And I have like a problem with like all living souls. So even though I hate bees and they scare shit out of me, I made another hole on the other side so it would eventually escape. It took it like a day to find the hole, but it did, and I didn't have to squish it. So,
man, that is very, very kind. And also just, it blows my mind how sometimes wasps and bees and flies just can't exit the room. They try so hard to leave the room they came in, like, shit, I don't like it in here. Shit. And they just bang off of everything around them before they can get out.
This bee, it was driving me crazy. He's like walking around the hole I had created for him. I'm like, bud, like, I know you're not that stupid, you know, like you're a giant ass bee. It was like 5 inches. But finally, and a day later, it went out the hole, but whatever. At least I didn't kill it.
Yeah, no, that's good. We need the bees. We need all the bees for all the plants.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was like one of the, I don't know if it was a good bee or just like an evil black wasp bee. Like, or it was yellowish, but there was like, it was just big and waspy. It's hard to know what bee is like the keep the bees so the world doesn't die, or like kill this thing because it's going to eat you alive, you know?
Yeah, I think it sort of plays more into the energy, as ridiculous as that might sound, of how how the insect approaches you. Like if it's like "fuck you," it's clearly a wasp. If it's like, "Oh shit, I didn't mean to bounce into you. I'm just looking for the nearest pollen mate." Like
exactly.
if there's a slight difference, because
it's all about the attitude. Really.
Yeah, it really is, because like the media is telling us right now about all these invasive wasps and everything, and it's like, the way that I look at those wasps is how I see some seagulls in England, where if there's a seagull walking up to you and it's missing like a quarter of it, like it's rolled its wing up, it's ready for a fight. It wants the chips that you're eating, and it will take those fries, as you might call them in North America. And it's just, that's what I'm looking out for when I see between bees and wasps, because I'm allergic to wasp stings, the best I know from many years ago. So I'm always really antsy as soon as I see anything that's got a particular buzz to it. I'm like, no, fuck it, gotta get out and move.
So no, you're not allergic to bees, but you're allergic to wasps?
Well, I think so. But again, it's so long since anything has happened. It might have just been a case where I feel like it's more of just more of a situation where I was so freaked out by what happened to me as a kid that I decided I'm allergic. So I can, like, you know, and I think I'm just clinging on to that energy 25 years later. But
that's so true. I got diagnosed with being like, not diagnosed, but whatever, like being allergic to penicillin when I was like an infant. And to this day, when I say it to a doctor, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know if I'm allergic, but
yeah, it's hard to tell with some things like that. But yeah, well, talking about wasps and traps for the birds, and what's the most beautiful bird that your windowsill has encountered?
Man, it's hard. Like for the most part, I don't know. I guess birds are a little different. John, where are you exactly?
I'm on Vancouver Island. I've lived here for nearly 13 years.
Okay, so we're in the same country.
Yes.
I guess I like the cardinals the best, I guess. But there's like loads of blue jays, and the past couple of days, I got this super bright goldfinch. Not up here, but downstairs, because I also incessantly feed them downstairs. And yeah, it was like the most neon yellow. He doesn't come around here very often, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Do you watch the Great Canadian Baking Show?
I've seen it. I don't watch it regularly.
We've been watching it regularly on Netflix. We've just really got into baking shows lately. It blows Harley's mind, some of the creations that they make. It blows my mind, some of the creations that these people make. But for anyone that watches that show, it feels like every fourth or fifth shot that they cut to is a form of jay or is a form of finch in the like CBC land garden that's so beautiful and stunning and royal and regal. And I'm still trying to fathom after 4 seasons if it is the exact same bird and the same shot they keep reusing, or if it's the same bird on a different day, or if it's just a trained CBC rogue agent that is just ready to go for whenever it's needed.
Probably rogue agent.
Yeah, could be.
Or like birds aren't real. Like maybe it's totally real.
Yes.
Right? It's not real.
No,
come on.
None of it's real.
Anybody who believes in birds is just a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and you've wasted God knows how much money on ruining screens. It's very foolish. So
also, like, if they are surveillancing us, I'm doomed.
Yeah, no, I think I've been screwed for a long time. Actually, what's really cool about one of the people watching right now is Courtney, and Courtney, they say rather, they've been a fan of you since around 2008.
Wow, that's a long time. Thank you, Courtney.
So I said to Courtney, anything that you want to ask, Jeen has to answer after the start to the stream. I said I could flex that sort of sarcastic, you know, not that it's not an issue, but it is now. If Courtney's got more than 3 questions, then you're going to have to answer them because we had to wait 5 minutes to get the webcam going. I don't know if it's hard to be mean.
Yeah, I'm like, and I've got my iPad outstretching my arms in front of me, praying that this angle isn't unflattering. But Well,
Everything is fine for me, but the only thing I'm concerned about is do you have you don't have like a wallet for the iPhone or something that you can put it out to hold it up? It literally, you can only just,
let me see if I can place it.
even if you get a couple of books and place it up and.
No, but I'm afraid it's just gonna like crash its face. Don't worry, just keep going. I'll just keep dicking around. God, like I said, man, I'm just happy it's functioning. I feel like that's a win.
So I feel like with Courtney saying in the chat, but then I've got no ideas right now. Well, there's no pressure, Courtney. There's no pressure for anyone. You know, we're going to cover so much ground that you're going to get to know Jeen an awful lot more than just the music that you've dived
Come on,
into.
Courtney.
But I feel like then for Courtney, in and around 2008, that predates anything solo material.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I've been putting out music for a long time. There's a few records that I didn't put that I didn't put up on streaming services. They're like a little bit more ancient. And
Right.
I was like, well, I just decided not to, because I'm my own label. I can do what I want, I guess. So yeah, although there's only so many solo records that have surfaced, I have been around for way too long.
Well, transparency is key. So when I used to work in commercial radio for a radio station called The Zone at 91.3 on Vancouver Island for 10 years. And I just wished to push myself and my passions to their absolute limit. And I chose at the start of the pandemic, with the world seemingly about to go through quite the change, that I would sidestep and take all the growth and the ability and the confidence that I'd grown and learned from those around me at The Zone, and just dive into creating my own radio station. So it's the radio station, it's the podcast, which obviously is what these conversations are used for. It's an arts academy and a foundation, because I split all my earnings 50-50 to then give back to independent musicians around the world that galvanize my soul and inspire me, and give back to those within the community that support me in the first place, whether that's giving them grants for counseling or for pets needing surgery or towards their hobbies and passions, or because they lose their home and they need to drive somewhere else to get to a new rental or stay with family. And so that's the very, in a nutshell, nothing older than 5 years. 90% of the playlist is from 2020 onwards. And so transparency for me is key. I share every month my last month of figures with patrons on Patreon and with subscribers through the Discord or however else we stay in touch, so they see exactly the journey and the path that we're walking down with their support, with me leading together, essentially. And so to be clear with you, I only discovered you in the last 18 months when I was really diving deep into all my usual spots to find and blog and discover new music. And it was the self-entitled record in 2020, the Dog Bite in 2021. So that's where I am with you. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything, because what I love about this conversation is that I can say, I don't really know you at all. From the last 20 minutes, I think you're flipping fucking awesome. But now we can really dive into, well, what is this career? Because we read through the bio. Actually, that's a good
question, John. What is this career?
Yeah, let's bring it back to what you were just alluding to with choosing not to put certain things on the streaming services. What was your thought behind that?
It's just kind of old and dated, you know. I guess. Well, yeah. I just felt like, what am I gonna just dig up every single thing I ever did and just put it up here because I can? I also feel like I've got a pretty big catalog up there already. So if I go dumping like these ancient albums, I feel like it's almost just convolutes everything. So maybe it was a little bit too, just to kind of keep the focus on what I felt was more what was happening currently. You know what I mean? And some of that old shit, like, you know, anybody who does old shit, whether it's in music or anything, you know, you change. And sometimes you change so much that you're like, fuck this, man. I'm not gonna, like, I don't have to represent every single thing I ever did in my life. None of us do, right? Whether it's music or something you fucking said when you were 22. Like, you can move on from things. And I guess maybe those pieces of music are no different than that kind of stuff, right? I might put a few songs up. There's a few songs that kind of, I'll get emails or something. And I'm like, I don't hate any of it. I don't, but you know, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a bit of a weird one, I guess. But
are there any of the songs that didn't make it to the streaming that you did still put on a Bandcamp situation for diehards to dive into? No, not there either.
It was old, like before. I actually put records out with my last name, so my full name is Jeen O'Brien. So there was a chunk of records under Jeen O'Brien, and I think I dropped the O'Brien just because it sort of sounded like a folk singer to me, and so I just didn't want to like it to be leading people into a different direction than the music I was playing. So I took off the O'Brien, and from that point on is when I put them up. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing Jeen O'Brien on Spotify. I mean, maybe there's fucking floating somewhere, but not on my shit. Not that I put up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And did you release Tourist, A Modern Life, and Gift Shop in those actual years, or did you just timestamp it and you uploaded it all at the same time, but then made it seem like it was?
Nope, those came out when they
came out.
Yeah, like whenever it sort of says up in Spotify. So
okay, now let's dive all the way back to, it's one of my go-to questions because for me, the way that music works, and for me, the way that my mind revolves around it is like, for example, with On and with Better Drugs and with Mountain, I'll listen to a song 30, 40, 50 times in a variety of different moods at different times of day.
That's dedicated, John.
Well, because it will spark different things at different times in your psyche. And when you're feeling in different ways, you know, a song that you might love one night becomes a song that it really riles you the next night, because you then actually start to hone in on certain points of it that maybe you missed or that didn't quite hit you in a certain way. And so with how, so I've lost my point there. What was the point? Because someone asked a question here that I'll get to, but what was it? So going over 30, 40, 50 times, but then
you're saying On and On, you listen to that.
Yeah, well, On and Better Drugs and Mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been sober in terms of drinking. I mean, I don't do hard drugs. I just smoke weed, but I never have done hard drugs, but I was drinking an awful lot and had a bit of an issue a few years ago, and stopped that. And so I have found since I've stopped doing that this part of my brain that I thought had gone missing from my teenage years sort of came back, which was that adventurism and that how you can shift through emotions and different music can impact you. So that's bringing it back to my point. Thank you. Which is that music is so impactful. I go through things all those times because, again, you might find those different nuggets and be inspired to do different things. And you, having been performing for so long, there's a spark. I say that politely. You know I say that politely.
No, my God, I'm only laughing because it's true. I'm not laughing.
But I
have been doing it for so long.
One of my favorite questions to ask, because I remember very clearly, is what is your earliest musical memory that made you go, huh, what is this, what the fuck is this that you're doing?
Well, I was asked to sing Away in a Manger at Christmas Mass when I was probably like, oh man, I don't know, it would have been like, I want to say like grade 2 or 3, but I wouldn't bank on that. And I was in the choir because I've always sang, and I got the solo and I sang Away in a Manger. And I don't know if you've ever been to like a Christmas Eve Mass. This was in my past life. I don't go to Mass.
Yes, in my past life, it was very massy too. Confirmed Christian. Okay. Yes, yes.
So you feel me. You know,
had the bracelet, WWJD. Yeah.
A lot. It's the way it goes for a lot of us. So anyway, Mass aside, I'm there. I'm singing to a packed house, probably biggest show of my life to this day. No, I'm just. But you know, and I just was like, it was like so quiet. And I was just, I guess I would say that moment, because I was like, man, everybody is listening to me. And it's, you know, like a child's voice in a church, right? Is kind of just one of those, we can all say what we want about church, but a little child's voice singing a hymn inside a church is rad, right? It has that, it's just a beautiful sound. So, yeah, I kind of remember that. And then I was in musical theater a lot when I was little. And I thought I was going to go that direction until I became a teenager.
And then what shifted?
Oh man, like everything. It just became I just like quit school, moved out of the house, joined a band, and that was the end. That was the beginning and the end, I guess, all in one move.
Well, you quit school, what, when you were 13, 14, 16?
Nah, grade 10.
What's that?
15 ish. So no, 16, not 15. I was a little older. So yeah.
When I was 15 and 16, I had friends trying to get me to play bass in their screamo punk band. And I'd been playing trumpet and piano and singing as well, doing a lot of musical theater. And I remember like just trying to look as emotional as possible. I've always worn all black, so that was already
It's
a done
essential.
deal. And then just showing up and being just so out of depth and just, what the hell are you guys doing? I have no idea. But I bring that up because what I did notice in that moment is I was like, I really want to, I want to play drums. And so
really?
that's what I always said, that once I got into radio, I would buy my own drum kit and buy my own record player. And so obviously I've been drumming now for probably 12 or 13 years and loving it. But the focus is on you in this moment. But the shift for you in leaving school, I also think at the same time, okay, there was a ska band that I found a poster up in the local music store, and a bunch of guys in their late 20s, and they showed up in my parents' drive, and the car opened to a plume of marijuana smoke, and my dad just being an ex-policeman and being like, "Where the fuck are you going? What are you doing?"
Policeman.
And I said, "I'm gonna go and play trumpet with these cool people, Dad." And very quickly realized that wasn't maybe the group for me, but it was a cool experience. And I bring that up because what did you dive into? Did you go, I'm quitting school, I'm going to go punk? Or I'm quitting school, you've removed the O'Brien, you don't want to be folk. So what was the angle and what was the energy that drew you out of school to make you so passionate to make that massive, bold decision back then?
I guess it sort of was a bit of a slow burn, you know, but I guess I just had like this sort of insatiable like spark, for lack of a better word, and I couldn't just sit around, you know, like I felt like you know what, I still fucking feel like that now that I'm saying it, like that I would waste time, you know, like almost like a now or never, or like that everything's just got to happen, and I just didn't, I guess maybe not want to waste time. It felt like, well, what am I gonna, like, you know, every teenager school is just a drag, you know, like maybe not every teenager, but a lot of teenagers could agree that high school isn't their bag. So I guess that was there too, but I just wanted more. I didn't want to do what I was doing, and I guess I wanted to be something more. It didn't entirely work out like that, but I got a lot under my belt now, you know, from starting that way. I'll say that.
Well, I think the key thing though, Jeen, is, are you happy right now?
God damn it, John. I don't know. I am happy. I wouldn't, yeah. That's
because hindsight,
loaded question.
it's a difficult question that you can't give a full answer to because life is too precious. But at the same time, hindsight's a bitch. You know, it's you can't look back and regret, because what you look back and regret is diminishing the growth opportunity that you can look at, because you made the decision whether it was for the better or worse. You know,
I don't regret anything. But you know, I think I have to say, any apprehension on the happy question is maybe more coming from the fact that the past 3 years have sucked shit, you know, and it's just been like, in the music industry, I know lots of industries, but the music industry has just been pummeled, man. Like, it's an absolute barren wasteland. So that's tough, but what are you going to do? It's not the only industry, I guess, that's been hammered, but I am happy. Like I can say definitely that I think there's other scenarios, other paths I could have walked down that would have made me a lot less satisfied. You know, I've done what I wanted to do. I tried, I took all the chances I could, you know what I mean? So at least I don't have to go back and go, oh, what if I did quit school? Well, you fucking did. You know? So I guess in that sense, it's good. I don't look back and go, oh, if you only took a chance, you know, I did.
Exactly. I mean, because the thing is, I And I appreciate you being willing to walk down into that part of the conversation, because it's so fascinating how precarious humans make humankind life feel. It's from the age of 11 years old, I was asked, well, what are you going to do for university? Well, where are you going to go? At 12 years old, where are you going to go? 13, 14. And I've been trying to do, I was making my own radio demos since I was 11. I'd always been farting and doing stand-up jokes and jumping in the tickle trunk and being all these different voices. And I had something really horrible happen to me when I was 10 years old by a couple of strangers. That meant that I went through my teenage years really exploring these multiple characters of myself and watching lots of Jim Carrey and Robin Williams films or cartoons and copying all the voices and just trying to and creating multiple different Johns to appease different situations where I might be anxious or comfortable or not, and etc. And when you were saying to bring it back to you and talking about music, which is the main point of the chat, but everything is open towards your comfortability in discussing it, is that I find it fascinating when in the last 4 or 5 years, we feel the need to particularly say, like if we're talking about the fact that you're right, the music industry has been decimated. There are about 25% of the venues in this country don't exist anymore. They're gone. And that's an extreme amount. We're talking at least 3 to 5 in each town, city, or market. There are 5 or 6 in Victoria alone that have been staples for 40 years. They're gone. They don't exist anymore. And the sad thing is for most of these places that these are the places where careers start. These are the dive bars or the jazz clubs or the ones that aren't always bumping and filled up with kids that want to dance and take LSD. These are the places where people go and truly dive in and discover their form of art and their form of sharing that art with people. And that's where a massive loss is going to be. But we seem to be humans right now concerned about upsetting the next one. Like, oh, I'm sorry that I'm not, I know that other industries have well, but it's okay to say, but this is the one that you've spent this is your life. This is what you've done the whole time. Now, I'm not saying that to you to say, come on, Jeen. I'm just saying to speak to a recurring something I've noticed in conversation, something that has been exemplified across the last couple of years of it is the heads or the tails and there's no in between. And it drives me crazy because there's always an in between. And there's always a unique circumstance to the unique individual and a unique system and a unique venue or club or artist. So it is another reason why I've launched what I've launched at the most, what some might say is precarious time, is because my goal is to be able to bring artists like you from Ontario to BC and to put on a big free music festival where no one pays, but the artists get paid. And it's a discovery festival. I want to turn the entire thing on its head, because it's not always about being the $1 million earner or the $1 million curator of a program. It's about the memories and the experiences and the community that can be built through those. And by saying, come to my festival, it's $400. Thank God we can do this again after the pandemic. You're closing the door on an awful lot of people. And that's, I understand it from a business point of view. Look, I'm doing the same thing I'm saying we shouldn't worry about. But it's a fascinating part of human psyche that I feel has been pushed to the surface the last few years, of how we are worried about how we converse about our passions for worrying about stepping on someone else who's not even in the conversation. I just want these venues back anyway, but we'll get those back. But that's obviously quite the passionate verbal diarrhea for 5 minutes.
I mean, to be honest, I think it's a legit response. Like, I've had that response myself internally, where I'm like, I wish I could buy acreage and put studios on it and fucking shows, you know. But I mean, maybe if I get rich. But I was gonna say too, like, you're talking about like the struggle of, or you know, how the music industry shit now. The one, I guess, advantage or disadvantage, I haven't decided which it is yet for me, is that I've always struggled. I've never gotten fucking signed. You know what I mean? I've had well, I can't say everything, but I haven't had a lot of let's just say I haven't had a record deal. That's the simplest way to put it, you know. But like, so in a lot of ways, like I don't have another job, so I pay my rent, music, right? So and I have my whole life. I guess this is the struggle part is not new for me. I never got any, like, not to have like a pity party, but I never got those good things like sign. I had a couple of managers over the years, but you know, that I'm going to zip my mouth about. But you know, to always to always struggle sometimes when shit hits the fan, you're kind of ready for it because you've always fucking been there anyway, you know? But how many times can you get kicked before you just stay down? That's to be determined, right?
But that's what's so fascinating to me, is that has been one of the hardest things for me in the last 20 months, is having left a job that paid me very well, that got me access to awesome things in the realm of what I love of music and the arts, and what had a great healthcare plan and enabled me to look at, you know, buying apartments that I've since got out of because obviously I haven't got a job that could pay a mortgage anymore. And then, you know, I fall in love with Jody and I meet Harley, and Harley's 8 now. Harley was 5 at the time. And,
that's nice.
Harley needs like dental work. I need dental work. But then, oh shit, now it's not $6, it's $6,000. And those are the only moments when, and there's been several, to be clear, the last 20 months where I've gone, oh my God, I don't regret doing what I'm doing. It's just, I feel at times disrespectful, even though, you know, Jody would say it's ridiculous and communication is key. So my part, we speak about everything all the time, but she would say, don't be silly. I don't think about that. And I know she doesn't, but to me, I'm like, I need to get a job. I need to do something as well to balance out, because they've allowed me to move into their home. This is their living room that I've taken over for partly studio for some hours of the day. You know, she redecorated her closet to paint it green screen to move in there initially. These two have completely got behind this dream, but I've got to be cognizant of their dream and what they want to achieve and what we're going to achieve together as a unit. And so sometimes,
but you've already got it made because of how you look at it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're already in a good spot because of the way you're thinking. You know,
yes.
you will and you are doing that because that's who you are, right?
Absolutely.
You could move in there and not give a shit. You could just be like, fuck man, look at this. Lucky me. But you're not.
Yeah, I think if I moved in and did nothing but just eat all their food and chocolate, there might be a few arguments. But not to say that I don't eat a lot of food and chocolate, love chocolate.
Yeah, you'd have to have a really good personality.
Yes. Yes, it would have to level out somehow. But that's what I was walking down the path towards with asking you, is that this is what I love, is something that I've coined the last few years in my mind, is perception versus reality. Is from my standpoint, I see an independent artist that for 20 years has been able to call her own shots, do her own thing, and, you know, happily married. You make music with your partner. You've got your space there. You've been in the same space for 10 years as an independent musician. But then, of course, yes, and I was just chatting about this at lunch with someone that I used to work with, about how when I worked in commercial radio, I was flirted with by certain program directors, like, hey, would you ever come here or do this? But never really solidified, always sort of like dangled carrot, but never like, would you actually? And it annoys me because I spent and wasted so much time being frustrated by, does anyone think I'm good at this? And I think maybe there's a similarity in our mindset with you talking about, and your energy around when you were talking about not getting signed. But then from my point of view, I'm like, but you, Jeen, have been independent and you've made it work, but how can I soak up?
I have to pay for everything myself, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I have to pick between whether I put out a record or I play shows, tour.
Yeah.
You know, like I fucking can't do both. Like I can't hardly do what I'm fucking doing. You know, so I guess I totally understand what you mean, and I have to say too that I'm insanely grateful. Music aside, I'm insanely grateful because, like, I don't want to get emotional because I'm a psychotically emotional human being, but like there's so much shit in the world. You know, we bitch about our lives in your nice apartment and in my nice house and in our, you know, pretty good country. I know it's got its fucking issues, so I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's not Lebanon or Syria. Like there's so much harsh life that people have to live, right? And so every day I'm aware of that. But then you got to go back to, like, how can I hustle? How can I get more? How can I get ahead in my career? You know, so there's levels of, I don't know, maybe levels of what you're grateful for, but I have a mega massive base level of just having what I have, eating, you know what I mean? Walking out my front door without feeling like I'm not safe, shit like that, you know, or being in my own house and not feeling safe. Like just the things that people have to deal with on a daily basis is mind blowing, right? So to bitch about record deals, like trust me, I know the perspective of that, but the bottom line is we have our small little lives that you want to get your goals, right? You want to, or you need money. That's the other thing too. It's like, I have goals in music, but like I said earlier, this is how I make money. So the further I get, in theory, the more money I should get. So those goals become tied up with like my rent. It's just pretty entwined at this point now that I'm old.
More experienced, yeah, sure, however we want to phrase it. But that 10-minute setup is what I think, if you're willing to dive into, would be massive for anyone that listens to this or discovers this that is an independent musician. Is you, as you said, you've hustled, you've done everything you can to get to this point. What are some of the moments that you look back on that you're proud of, that you made this work and that work when you didn't think you could spin both plates at the same time? What can we selfishly try and get from you to galvanize others in a similar circumstance or at the start of their independent journey that they can utilize, that you're willing to share?
Every single thing I did up until now, I didn't always do because I was like happy and stoked, I did it because it's like I fucking had to. It was driven. And I guess something I like, I guess I could say something I look in retrospect that I like is that no matter how down I got over the years, I kept putting out music. So I look back now and I'm like, it's a lot of fucking songs, some are shit, some I like, but it's this big body of work. And I'm like, when I maybe recently feeling like, not recently, always questioning whether I should carry on or quit. And I look at that and I'm kind of like, you did that. And I kind of like that there's a big catalog out there that I've released, I guess. That's kind of cool. And I get like emails and stuff from people that'll say just shit that's like so touching, about some song they heard of mine, or like, I can't really replace that. Like when someone tells me a little while ago, like a few months ago or late last year or something like that, guy was telling me that he has an autistic son and that the only thing he sent me a note in YouTube and he said the only thing that chills this kid out was to listen to Jeen music, right? And I was like, and he was just thanking me for that. And it was just kind of like, fuck, here I'm just bitching about this or bitching about that. And there's some kid somewhere who listens to it and kind of calms down, And I was like, that's like, I don't know, kind of the best thing I could ask for, right? So that makes it harder to quit. Those kinds of things, I guess.
But can you ever, when you love something so much, it's always difficult to walk away from it, because then it's almost like, for me, the band that I used to be in, well, you don't know, is a turn of phrase that I try and remove from my language. But when I'm thinking, if I'm going to dive into something, I tend to say, at the start of it. That's how we can all know when I'm contemplating whether I'm going to dive into it. But people watching this probably most likely in this moment, for the most of them, know that the band I used to be in broke up because mental health reasons for one of the members. And we had worked really hard for 5 years and had got to a point where we were discussing with some labels potential support to dive into the studio and not necessarily owe anyone any money, and then a potential to go on support with the band. And I think it all just was like, oh my God, we're going to leave the island now and things are going to move. And for one of the members, it was not quite time yet. And I'm really thankful that they're still here. But I have barely drummed. I've drummed maybe 10 times in three years. Half of those times are when we've taken Harley, now 8, and Jody to show the jam spot that I've still continued to pay for and keep all our gear down there.
Yes, good on you.
It's a really good spot. I'm not going to tell anyone where it is, but it's an amazing spot that I'm so grateful that we were invited into. And it's it's underground too, so it's always nice. Cool. And yeah. But and actually the
like
people,
a little bunker. That's my dream.
It is a little
bunker.
Yeah, it's sweet. And not that I've been in there in 6 months, but it's sweet. And the wonderful souls that allowed us in once I left my career after a few months said, we don't want to lose you from this space, even though you never fucking come here. But they halved my rent so I could still afford to keep it, to essentially store the gear in. But I just said last night to myself, like, I feel like I want to drum again. I don't know if I want to be in a band that goes for it, but I want to just, dive back into that.
Go for it, John. Go for it.
So that's what's so fascinating about art when you're... Which tea is that, quickly? Which tea is that?
This is chamomile.
Okay. I've got the... Oh, it's not got the... I'd have to take the bag out of the whole thing, but...
What you got in there?
It's the bellyache tea. Or like for calming. It's not... I haven't got a bellyache. I just find that it chills me out because most of the time it's like I've licked a battery. So it's a happy medium.
Really? I didn't know there was a chill out tea other than like hot tea. So I'll have to try that.
Well, I mean, that's also good.
It depends on the circumstance though.
Yes, it does. It does.
Don't be all stoned and like in a bad environment.
No. And I also have never been a believer in doing that before I do anything like this.
Although it would be like a whole new conversation.
It would.
We'll do that another day.
Yeah, maybe the Jeen 2.0 will just be us swearing.
Also, I can if we had done that this time, I can guarantee I wouldn't have gotten that fucking video working.
Yeah. I would have just heard you opening chocolate wrappers and...
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, John, fuck it. Click.
Yeah, we're just going to go vocal and no video. But on your bio on the website, it notes that you've written and worked with a slew of wonderful people in the Canadian scene. I've known Hawksley Workman for over a decade, and I think he's such a crazy talent. I mean, he's a triple threat. Everything I've seen him on stage, the one-man show, his records. You're smiling as if maybe you're not friends anymore. Are you still friends?
Oh, I love
Okay,
love Hawks.
just
love
checking.
Checking. Totally love him.
But
he's a lovely, and you're right. He's like bursting with talent.
But is this, so this is what I want to look into more as well, is when you mentioned that you've written for Google commercials or Degrassi and soundtracks, and this is not new territory to the world of music, but it's certainly a discussion that's opened up a lot the last 3 or 4 years with how bands have seen when they can get on shows, the effect it can make for their career. How long have you been doing this sort of writing, whether that's, I mean, what did you, let's focus on one thing. What did you do with Hawksley?
Well, I've done a couple of things with Hawksley. He produced and mixed a record of mine, one of those records that I was talking about.
That's not on streaming services.
What?
That's not on streaming, right? One of those?
It's not on streaming,
right, okay.
Yeah. So I went up north and stayed at his studio for, I can't remember, I'd have to double check with him, but we just lived up there for a while, made a record. So that was my first meeting with him, and we hit it off, and he actually asked me a little bit after that to he had got a production gig with Great Big Sea. You familiar with the East Coast guys? And he got a production gig with Great Big Sea, and they were kind of looking to write some new stuff and like bring in some new blood. And Hawksley thought that I would be a good fit for that. So he asked me if I'd go out and not help him produce, but help him do the songwriting. Well, co-writing. These Great Big Sea are great writers. So it was just to add a bit of new blood for their record, which was like Fortune's Favor, I think was the record we were writing for the first time. And so, yeah, we went out east and wrote with those guys, and that was lovely. And then we did it again a couple of years later, and like there's this cool place out east where like there's all these, it's like a ski resort, but it's been abandoned basically. So there's like all these beautiful chalets in like this beautiful rural East Coast. I can't remember what province it was, but anyway, so they rented out one of these beautiful chalets and wrote another record. And actually Hawksley wasn't there for that one. He had something come up last minute, but yeah, so that's kind of my Hawksley stuff.
And this is in and around the first few records that you wrote.
That would have been, I mean, I had a band when I was a teenager. Those records, God knows where they are. They're floating around, a few of them. And then I made an EP, and then I made the Hawksley one, I think. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think that's how it went, I think.
Right. You didn't put the school band records on MySpace or anything, did you? Because they might still be out
I
there.
put some weird shit on MySpace. I think I put more like demos, like home demos. I demo all my songs here. Like I said, Gift Shop was kind of like the demos released, but the more current records, I still demo everything. Like they're listenable song demos. But I think I posted that shit on MySpace. God knows what else. Fuck. I like MySpace as the chaos of it and like loading tech. I don't know if it's good, but
Did you take all your pictures from this angle too?
I don't think I even took any pictures. Like I think I just used like, quirky cartoon things I find and shove it up. Like I've only recently exposed my face because I have no choice now.
Why'd you have no choice now?
Oh my God. I just feel like music has just flipped into that, right? Like you have to kind of you have to like make videos of yourself and like it's just a different world. I guess you don't have to. You
Like
don't have to. If I was bigger and if I was like a bigger act and I could afford not to, you can fucking be sure I wouldn't. But if I don't, a level that I'm at, I'm just shooting myself in the foot, right? Like I could say, oh, fuck you guys. I'm not going to put any videos out. I'm too shy, to this, to that. Well, I'm only damaging myself. Like I'm not proving any point. I'm not big enough that people can find me. You know what I mean? So I got no choice.
Well, I know what you mean to an extent. You never thought about maybe doing a slip knot and wearing a mask or something?
Oh yeah, I have.
Because I watched actually.
I truly have, but I was like, what are you gonna do? Like, I just got to get over. I'm like, I've got all the insecurities of anybody, right? So I just try and barrel through them and just ignore them. It gives me panic attacks sometimes, but I usually come out the other end. So.
I say that flippantly because I watched a really inspiring. YouTube is a fascinating algorithm, and it decided last week that I need to know about Britain's Got Talent. And I don't know where it came from, but it was like, do you know who Simon Cowell is? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I know who he is. And everything on my suggested feed that is usually wrestling or football, some might say soccer, and live music was now Simon Cowell.
What?
And I make the flippant comment about the masks because there was a gentleman who pardon me, I forget his name. I'm not going to try and guess for the sake of seeming to be intelligent and having a good memory. But he was a guy that got through to the semi-final as a magician, I think in 2018. And he didn't make it to the final. And so he was devastated because he got the golden ticket. So he bounced through a couple of rounds. So he was on TV once, then again on the semi. And I think he lost out to an 80-year-old who used to be in the army who had a dog that did twirls or something. And because just, Jeen, those fucking animals are so adorable. Oh,
yeah.
The way that they did the catching the ball. And so
it's raw talent.
It's raw, unadulterated doggy talent. And to be fair, the dog deserved to win because of all the bullshit it's got to put up with the owner to learn all that stuff across 3 or 4 years before the. Anyway, sarcasm and flippancy aside, part 58. But he reinvented himself, and to tie back into my point with the masks is that he decided I'm going to go back on the show 2 years later, and I'm going to wear a mask like you see, like the same mask that you see the people on the internet that are like, you don't know who we are, but we're here to fuck you up if you like anonymous, those masks, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I was like, who are these guys? They're gonna fuck us up with
sorry.
Okay, I got you now. I got
just
you.
spreading fear without the use of a major publication. So he got one of those masks and pre-recorded everything to have it voiced by like 58 different, Bell or Google voices and all different sexes and accents and did incredible tricks. And then in the final then revealed it's me that the whole country didn't think was good enough 2 years ago. Still didn't win. Came second in the final to another person with a dog.
No way.
It's a strange life. And
he didn't lose to a dog twice.
Yes, not the same collie, but the same breed.
A dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
A dog and its owner that did this. Anyway,
Yeah,
look,
but it's the dog that wins. The human is secondary.
yeah, but it's the human that gets the money, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Another like that's totally ripping off the dog.
It's
But
like
yeah.
that. I'm being so sarcastic right now. I've got a lot of respect towards these dog trainers, but it's like that.
Oh
It's
yes,
like when
that's
that.
true too.
It's like when
My
the picture of that monkey was the monkey took the picture of itself in the jungle, and then there was the copyright argument about who owns that picture.
the fucking monkey.
Well, that's what ended up happening.
Sweet. I love that. That's amazing.
Uh,
Anyway, I was just gonna say quickly about the dog trainers. I have all respect for dog trainers. I have had dogs my whole life. I got 2 dogs now.
Yeah.
They're like moron idiots because of me, you know. I love them. They're great, but like I can't do shit, right? I just hope they listen to me and
Oh, get off the bed. No, I don't like snuggles. No. Get the
Yeah.
hair off the bed. No, but with my point with that is that that's where my energy was coming from, was not like, oh, cover your face up, and it was like, how can you find a different angle towards still being a musician, and how might it even help? It's just so fascinating. Like, I think his name was Paul something. I terribly can't recall, but it's amazing how you can slightly reshift and shuffle, and you can play the game, but you can play it in a way that is more comfortable for you, because ultimately that's the most important thing.
I would agree with that, but I have to say, like over the years in music, it's just getting so depleted that there's less and less corners to go to. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that depleted, right? Like you're right. There's a lot of different avenues you could pursue, but I really do think that it's becoming so bleak in music that it's hard to even find that now. I have found it, but
if you had the ability to change 3 massive systematic, well, if you had the chance to create 3 systematic changes within the week, what do you think music needs?
oh my
1, 2,
God.
3. I mean, there's thousands of offshoots, but what are 3, maybe 3 themes that things fall under that you think need massive change right now?
Well, I mean, obviously, like this could be a whole could be a whole other hour in and of itself.
All right, let's go.
My very first thought, of course, is streaming, I guess. Like I like the idea. I like the idea that everybody can access it quick, like fans can listen. Like I would never in a million years blame any fan for using Spotify. And I think, you know, not to diss anybody out there, but I find it I find it a little bit tacky when bands are like, don't listen to Spotify, because I feel like the only person you're really kind of attacking is your fucking fans. You know, like if you really genuinely don't want people to listen to it on Spotify, then don't put it up there. It's not the people's fault. It's the fucking corporations, first and foremost. So I would like to preface whatever I say about streaming with that. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with the people, the fans, because 5 guys who go, I'm not going to stream anymore, sadly, I mean, it's good of them, but it's going to make no dent because it's this mega corporation. So, like, we can't start eating each other, you know, fans and musicians, where it's like, wait, it has nothing to do with us, or bands against bands, and fuck, there's just, it's just this entity above all of that. That's the fucking evil part, right? None of us have any control over it. So that would be nice to kind of do something about that. And I really think that, sadly, I think if you're fucking loaded, like got a lot of money, you're going to have a lot more luck. Not, well, you're not going to have a lot more luck. You're going to have a lot more assets that you can purchase with your money to make your band big. And I'm kind of like, fuck, man, that's going to kill it 100%. If it's already dead, that's going to kill it. And I think that's getting to be a little bit of a problem. I'm also not dissing people who've got money. It's no, like, what are you going to do, right? Like, I'd be fucking doing the same thing if I had loads of money. But I do think if we only allow rich bands through the gates, you're going to miss a lot of fucking like Jimi Hendrix's and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to rich kids, but it needs to be everybody, right? Not just people with a lot of money. And I would hate, and I hope I'm wrong, but I hope it doesn't turn into that where you kind of have to be semi-loaded or be with people who are semi-loaded to succeed. And the third thing, oh man, I don't know. What else is shit? Like, God, there's so much to choose from. I don't know. Do you have like something that bugs you about the system?
Just to point to your second, which is that I find it so wonderfully ironic when bands that come from an esteemed background write songs about their struggle throughout the week, and then because they don't necessarily open up honestly in conversations or have a very clear plan of how they're going to represent themselves, their fans don't realize that they're just really just playing on what they know formulaically is going to work to appease and bring in more of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, and there's a few really big bands have exploded in Canada the last few years where I'm like, you're talented and I like you as people, but it does unnerve me a little bit with this hidden energy that you don't know.
Yeah, or like it's just breeding like I said, I can't say it enough. I'm not dissing anybody, you know? Like it's nobody. I'm not dissing anybody. Oh fuck. No,
I can still see you. No.
Good. But you know what? Can you give me 1 sec so I can plug this in so it doesn't die on us?
Yeah. Go for it. Can you hear me if I speak and share what my answer is to your question?
Yes, I'm just gonna go around the corner, so I might miss half a second of it, but I think I'll be good.
Okay. I'll boom it. Words. Passion. Full stop. Can you hear that? Yeah, we'll wait. And she's back.
I'm back. It was like that. It just breeds like the shittiest music. You know what I mean? This if the whole system is all about getting on a playlist, and I mean, I'm not getting on a playlist. That's too minimal. I don't know, but I feel like if the goals are no longer just to make fucking rad music, like it kind of used to be at times, not that there wasn't commercial bullshit. There's always been commercial bullshit, but there was always like rad stuff too, right? So if the goal is just this like commercial, and bands have no choice, we're all dying. So like you have to do what you have to do. And if that's going to breed everybody writing pieces of shit music because we're trying to fit into the box that everybody's telling us to fit in, either that or we're going to die. Like it's really just going to turn into like, it's already the worst, but I have some fear that it's going to turn into like literally nothing, you know, like it's just going to be an empty shell of what people remember it as, you know, and then it's kind of shit for kids too, right? But I know there's a lot of great music out there still, right? It's just maybe because there's so much, the market is like so saturated, you can't find fucking shit anymore. It's just like a sea of shit, right? Like, and there's some great stuff in there, and there's the worst stuff in the world in there, and there's just loads of all of it, and it's impossible to focus. Like, it's just, I feel like the whole system of music industry has eaten itself, right? Kind of like the internet, I guess. But
like a real life Pac-Man. The answer to when you threw back to me, so I'm loving this conversation and passion, and thank you for your honesty, is that's why I stepped out of commercial radio, is that I've got nothing. I love radio. It's a powerful medium and tool. It's a great community connector. It's a great way to expose and support more than just the musicians in towns, artists, from car shows to poetry slams to everything in between. The way that radio can really bring people together is very, very important. However, there is a finite system at play when it comes to the playlists, how you get through onto it, how you make it. When you're a band like Arkells, who have been friends for many years, until I launched this station, in which we don't speak so much these days because I'm not in the mainstream anymore. But you're a slam dunk. And there's only there's only 4 Canadian spots. So when you're a Jeen or you're a Hawksley or you're a Mounties with Stephen Hawksley and Ryan Darlin, etc., from Limlifter and Hot Heat and what they did, it's tight. And I stepped out because there are those bands out there, those bands that you are so passionately describing and hoping that get a chance to be heard and seen and recognized and adored and acknowledged. They are out there. And that's why I stepped away to build What Was That Radio, over 5,000 bands, and only 50 of them actually get regular airplay on radio in their country or in this country or wherever they might be based. The rest are all bands that I'm pretty sure other than the wonderful souls that have been with me for the 22 months so far, most people are going to go, what the fuck was that? Hence, what was that? It's all modern rock, and it is a place to dive in and discover. Now, you asked me what are some things that I think can change. I was having a discussion with someone in the industry a few hours ago that I'd not seen for a few years, and talking with someone in and around the world of the CRTC and SOCAN, and they were asking me, what do I think about my license and how much it costs to run a station? Because when I quit the station, someone started a thread on Reddit that I never go on, but I went on because someone sent me this really horrible thread about me being like, oh, I hope he's got lots. I hope he's got lots of money and it costs so much and he's going to fail in 6 months. And I was like, this person has no idea what it takes to do this, because I pay $1,000 a year to utilize radio.co, which gives me 50 gigabytes of storage, up to 20,000 concurrent listeners, and up to a 50 terabyte bandwidth for people to listen all around the world. So for any given time, depending where they are and where the signal's being sent and the internet and blah, 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 it means that's that. My license to build into your point and to share more is $105 a year for an online license. It's 22F under the SOCAN licenses. $105, that's it. That pays no royalties to any of the bands I play. Now, I split everything 50-50. I try and give grants to artists like yourself. We'll discuss that later on once this chat is done, to buy vinyl or to go just to try and help in whichever way. We get listeners who have been in the stream or that are aware of your music and love it to donate towards, saying if we can give Jeen $100 or $200 or $300, that's what we do after these conversations.
I'm looking closer to $100,000 if you can, John.
Well, I also wouldn't mind $100,000 to clear some debt too.
Kidding.
We'll see if we can get there. And but it's. I know you're joking, but I'm not. I would love to be able to turn around and give $100,000 to all the bands that I play, and that's my goal. Is that in 10 years maybe we can do something crazy like that. I would love, honestly, in 2022, in 2032, to put on a show. And I was saying this to Planes from Germany on Sunday, and I was saying this to Spielbergs from Norway on Thursday last week. I would love to have a show in the Inner Harbour in Victoria when they've built the amphitheatre by it's due in a few years. COVID slowed it down, and put on a free show with at least 50 bands across 2 days from around the world that have galvanized my soul. And then at the end of each set, walk out and say, surprise, here's $5,000. You know, like just something that's what I dream of doing. Like
it's a good dream, John.
Like a sort of just a weird middle class English white guy, you know, inspired by Oprah to an extent. And so to further my point, now when I start making over $3,000 a month, SOCAN will want 6% of my earnings. When I make over $5,000, they'll want 7. When I make over 10, they'll want 8. I believe it should be 50-50 split. And I believe whether you're AM, FM, Sirius, XM, whatever it might be, digital audio radio in Europe, HD radio in Canada and the US, if you are going to start a station, you understand that the music and the hosts and the community are all as equally paramount to success as one another. So I therefore believe that you should be at least splitting everything 50-50 with those musicians that you play. Now, however, I will say that SOCAN does a good job of paying very good royalties for each play on commercial radio, certainly compared to streaming. Your 0.2 recurring of a cent for Spotify, your 0.3 recurring of a cent for Tidal and iTunes is shit on by the $1.50 at least that the Canadian CRTC and SOCAN pay out. That is
definitely, SOCAN is a great organization.
Fantastic.
I need to say too, I really don't want to come off like I'm shitting on people with money, because that's petty. And I'm not saying everybody with money is going to succeed, but there's some shit I'm kind of hearing that's it. And if it comes to fruition fully, then it might turn into that those are the only bands. And I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, if it turns into the only way you can fucking do this is to kind of have like a load of money behind you, well, fucking kiss it goodbye, because you're just losing too many people. You know what I mean? You're losing all the things we all love about music. You're cutting too much of that off, and you may fucking permanently destroy it if it's not already there, man. I don't mean to sound bleak, but it's just rough. It's rough.
No, and I don't take anything. What I take from you is just a passionate music lover, a musicologist that wants this art form to be as open and accessible to as many as possible moving forward. I don't think there's anything, and I think my audience as well, that has not changed in the whole hour and 25 minutes that we've been talking already, I think they will utterly understand too that this is coming from a passionate standpoint of support and not. I don't think it's being belittling
and just that
or mean.
everybody it should be a fair playing field, because then everybody's going to get the best music. And if the playing field is that fucked up, then you're just not going to get the best music. And that's just sad for everybody. That's sad for people who just like listening to it. That's not just sad for people who make it. Like, fuck, man, you're never going to see Pink Floyd again, you know, but you could. It's not that they're not out there somewhere. It's just they're not being nourished, right?
Yeah.
They were nourished back then, but we're all being fucking choked out now. So you're not going to get those people. That doesn't mean that back then was better. It just means that it was nourished and people cared more, you know, and there was more put into it, and there's just not now. So that's sad for everybody, everything. That's sad for poor people, rich people, listeners, and fucking music makers, you know.
Yeah, I over the last 10 years in this country, I've always heard people say, "Oh yeah, but there's someone down in Nashville that's better than this." But there's so much circumstance and so much system, and yeah, I think we can put a note on that part of the conversation for now, because I think that otherwise I will keep going with you and spiraling into it further. but then I think it would take away from just diving more into your creations. I mean, this is brilliant because it's showing us your attitude and your passion. This is what came across. If are you comfortable with me playing a bit of Better Drugs to you through the iPad? Because this is the first song I heard by you that really resonated, and I went, okay, this is someone that I feel I could have a great conversation with, and here we are. Hello, but also just what I applied. Well, let me play a bit, and then we'll dive into it here. And hopefully that's not just deafening you on the iPad.
I'm on an iPad.
Okay. First question I have is, do you have a necklace, and is that what that sound is? And you're just going, what is that?
I'll blame that on Ian Blurton. He's been helping me produce these records, and he's a bit of a wizard. So any strange thing you're like, what is that? You'll have to ask Ian Blurton, probably.
Oh gosh. Okay, but
I'd have to listen. I can't hear the little tinkly thing anyway through this iPad. I'd have to go and like actually listen. I would say it's probably Ian's guitar. If it's twinkly, or is it like actually crunchy? Like
it's more twinkly than it is ripping up a newspaper with the article you don't agree with.
I would say if it's twinkly, it's probably Ian's guitar.
Okay, all right. I'm going to keep listening. Yeah, so in a nutshell, what struck me straight away was I'm a sucker for great textured guitars. I'm a sucker for great textured vocals. And the main thing was the confident nonchalance and the flow of which you perform and you sing in. And there's just this confidence to it that is just as if we're just, as if I was sat in there right now and you're like, let me play you the demo, and just whip out the acoustic guitar and just do it. There's this wonderful, gentle energy to how you perform, but at the same time a very pointed, particular message. So
I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you for saying that. It's a very nice compliment.
What I applied to that for me was thinking back to the last drink that I had, and I had quit drinking for I think it was like I'd gone through the really aggressive. It was a really aggressive detox for about 8 weeks. I mean, I was drinking before I quit, usually between 10 and 20 pints and 5 to 7 shafts, which is like a vodka liqueur drink over here.
Daily?
And, like Bailey's and vodka, and it's like a BC thing that I think is spread to Ontario.
No, but you were drinking that daily?
Yeah, and a bunch of shots of whiskey and stuff like that as well, and just basically sitting at the bar after I'd finished the midday show at 2 and going home when they closed at 1 a.m. And after I got through that really aggressive several weeks of detoxing, I asked for a sip of the beer that I drank like water for a long time, which was Hoyne Dark Matter, that I think is still a fabulous beer for those that are into beer. And it did not taste anything like how I had described it for the last few years.
Scared? Were you sort of scared to take a sip? Because I don't drink anymore either. I've stopped for about, I don't know, probably over a decade now. I mean, same reasons, problems. But did you, when you took that sip, weren't you kind of like, aren't you tempting fate a little? Or did you feel like you were tempting fate, or were you doing it to prove something?
I was doing it because I wanted to know what it tasted like.
After drinking for that long, you did know what it tasted like.
No, but here's the thing though, Jeen. It didn't taste anything like it tasted like when I was drinking.
So I drank Heineken. I think if I had a sip of Heineken, I'd probably drink the whole bottle.
Right. Well, I mean, because I would sit at the bar and say, this beer, some say it's really heavy. I think it's a light sessionable beer. Of course it is. I was drinking it like it was water.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
I knew that
You're
when
like, I know it's sessionable.
I knew when I had that sip that it wasn't that I wasn't worried about, oh, I'm going to need a whole pint now. I felt ashamed that I required a sip, but I felt confidence in the fact that I wanted that sip to have that final closure on, okay, what does it actually, and it was nothing, and it just blew my mind and showed me the clarity that had been achieved from not only just my taste buds, but my psyche.
Yeah. Well, it's also your mentality taking that sip is everything. Your mentality taking that sip was, like you said, for closure, to prove something to yourself. Now, if you had a sip to sort of see, maybe I'll like this, then that's a different, could have been a different outcome, but your head was different. You were like, I'm done. I'm going to take this sip as a person who is done and see what the result is, right?
Now, that's essentially what I was going to try and verbalize, is the sort of message I get in this song. Is that just a message that I've applied to myself because of my story? And again, going back to about 40 minutes ago and talking about how I go through songs 30, 60 times in different emotions and feel different things? Or what was the angle from your perspective that you were writing? Because it felt like you were releasing and taking growth from something, but I couldn't necessarily put my finger on it.
Well, I think I'd have to take another look at the lyrics to really get back to where my head was at. But I know in general, it's sort of like the lyric is like, if we could feed this feral love. So it's like, we all have this insatiable, kind of like what I was talking about when I quit school, you know, like this insatiable thing, or why I haven't quit music yet when I feel completely beaten down by it. Like there's something in us, whether it's music or otherwise, that drives you, keeps you going. I guess what I meant by feral love was kind of like, it's also what drives us crazy. It's what makes us lose it. Like we wouldn't need, if we knew what to do with that visceral thing inside of a spark or whatever, then we wouldn't need all the things. We wouldn't need to get drunk constantly. We wouldn't need to be fucking high or on pills, prescriptions, like, you know, again, not dissing that, man. Like, I'm not dissing that whatsoever. I know everybody's got their own deal. That's none of my business. But I'm saying, I think there's something in us that isn't satisfied in this life. You know, maybe it is for some, or something we're always chasing. And maybe we do achieve it. Maybe some do, some don't. I don't fucking know yet. But that you're always trying to soothe that. And I guess it could be with booze, drugs, whatever, right? Or maybe you would attain it at one point in life. There's that too. Like, I'm not saying it's unattainable, but I guess I haven't yet.
Thanks for sharing that.
That makes sense.
No, it does make sense. Yes. There's no wrong answers here, because at the same time, I'm throwing a song that you haven't probably thought about for over a year and a half, because with all the new releases coming out. So,
And then I think too, it's about that. And then it's like kind of finding spots in your life where you do feel fulfilled or satisfied, or you do feel that spark, and not like not letting it go, whether it's a person or a scenario, or if you do feel that spark and you do get that, then you need to keep that really hard in your life, whether it's a person or a job or a whatever, because it's hard to come by, right? So
yeah, I'm going to apply that spark right now to the two people that are out on the deck that I can see. They've gone whilst we've been talking, Jody and Harley, and bought a fucking blow-up swimming pool to put on the patio.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
One of those little pools. I don't know if I can shout. Are you setting up the shade tent? Anyway. They're probably watching this. I don't know. That was a stupid question. We'll see if Jody says in the chat. Because Harley had a great idea right before we started talking about, we'll get the shade tent out and put it under the shade tent, because it's like 30, whatever it is, you know. I'm English, so it's already feels like it's 58 degrees, and I don't want to be here anymore. But I'm probably going to sit in that.
You got to go get in your pool. You got to get in your little kiddie pool.
Yeah, that's what our next chat will be.
Or you should just put it right there in your living room and just don't get your headphones wet.
I feel like as we broadcast live to Twitch that I don't want to dive into that hot tub, swimming pool and pools beta that seems to be going on right now with a bunch of people selling their bodies to get subs. But
what is that a thing?
That's a thing right now. It's become a thing the last 6 months where streamers are getting in hot tubs and swimming pools, and there's actually a category made. There's music, just talking, Call of Duty, hot tubs and pools.
Wow. And they get stuff for taking their clothes off in the pool?
I feel like I've opened a can of worms.
We don't need to go down this. There's a lot of things I don't know about.
A flippant comment about
Twitch.
Yeah, like you can stream and you can do a talk show sat in a pool. I don't know. It's a weird world out there, and
gotta start looking into this. Not the naked pool stuff, but you know.
No, they're not. And they're not allowed to be naked because it's owned by Amazon. So I don't think Bezos would allow complete nudity.
I think he's being a hypocrite, but.
All right, part two of this conversation will deep dive Jeff Bezos. All right, let's skip forward to some of the modern stuff and definitely move away from, and again, seeing as though it's been a recurring theme of our conversation, all respect to those that choose to stream in a hot tub. You do you.
Yeah. Take your clothes off, free subs, whatever.
Whatever,
no
baby.
Disrespect to anybody.
Yeah.
There.
Let's talk about Mountain, the latest single. I'm going to play a little bit. I'm going to play about the first 20 seconds and then skip in about half of the song. Side note, I really like the artwork for this. To continue the song.
Oh, thank you.
I wasn't pointing at you then awkwardly. I was trying to point the right way for the stream because I was showing the artwork. Just not like, what the fuck kind of dancing is this, you strange BC hippie? Anyway, we'll play more. I'm actually really excited to go to Salt Spring Island for the first time. I've been here all these years, and the three of us are going to go, I think, next weekend. I can't wait to come back with a bongo. It's going to be awesome. So this is just ethereal. It's beautiful. It's shimmering. It's gentle. It's different to On and On and the last 2 or 3 singles.
Yeah, it is.
The artwork. What is this? Firstly, I guess I've said I liked it. Now I want to know. What is it? Is it a bunch of musical notes? Is it lights? Is it shutter speed on a camera?
I think it originally was some Christmas lights that I took on a busted phone So I don't know if you've ever taken photos on like a broken cell phone. It kind of does its own
Oh,
thing.
sorry. Pardon
That's
me.
all right.
You interrupted yourself. Sorry. Yeah, broken phone. Sorry, back to you.
Yeah. So broken phone, Christmas lights, it kind of was whatever. And then I took like the coolest little pinkiest section, and I think then I just got lucky, and I kind of did that, like all the fucking apps, you can kind of do like a reflective or, like a kaleidoscopy vibe. And then it kind of created a cat. And so I just kind of morphed it. And I mean, it looked like a cat to me. It could be lots of things. That little thing with the like the centerpiece with the lights sort of shooting out of it.
Yeah, I thought it looks like a cat eating a moth to me.
Yeah, like a little creature or something. I was like, oh, cool, it's a creature. And then I thought, I'm going to use that. But yeah, it was kind of a fluke, actually. And then I just kind of found like a filter that kind of made it pop a little better and shit.
And energetically, the song, to me, it feels like I note down a lot of things that are positive because my mind remembers all the shit effortlessly. So I write down a lot of things and I date it and I timestamp it and I say who was in the room, who was involved. I try the best I can to quote them verbatim to try and take myself back to those great moments. This song made me feel like you had gone through a massive release, but then you had found that serenity and calm in it, that acceptance of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's fair. I don't think that process has ended yet. But yes, I would say that's a very accurate description. Or also a little bit of like, just chill the fuck out. Like I have anxiety issues, get panic attacks. And, I've just been trying really hard to not go on medication other than weed. Not dissing people who do. It's obvious. I fucking know the torture of it. So I get all the, any relief you can get is essential. So for me, I was trying not to go on prescription pills, and the only way to do that is to kind of figure it out, like how not to have a panic attack, how not to feel like you're gonna fucking flip out without, like, on your own. And sometimes I do a better job at that than others, and I may go on a prescription one time in my life, so I'm not fucking saying that either. But at this juncture, I just was like just trying to calm myself down and let it the fuck go. Like my head just goes too much too fast sometimes, right? Like a lot of people can relate to that. It's not just me. And I guess that song was a little bit just trying to just like calm myself down, like just chill the fuck out. You're going to kill yourself,
Thank you for sharing that. Let's listen to another minute. Did I mute it? I muted it after you interrupted yourself because I hit play. Here we go. But the warmth, Jeen, that comes in when that chorus kicks, right? That low end, that bass, that all of a sudden it's like, is this produced by the same gentleman the last 3 records?
Yes, Ian Blurton.
Ian, yeah. I mean, the warmth that what I love about his production is how he bookmarks. Now, it's not like no other people do this, but he very subtly bookmarks the start of the next part of the song, verse, chorus, etc. And he's got this very subtle secondary bass, I feel, or something low end that comes in that just gives like that gentle, warm hug as that chorus comes in. Just gotta climb the mountain. And it just is like this extension throughout the song. I'm going to play it again here, having just buzzed about it. But and it might even be who's the other backing vocalist on that track? Is that him?
He's not on that one. He sings with me a bit on a few other songs, but not on that one. That's just me.
That's you doing the baritone stuff?
I think it just also, like, the chorus kind of, instead of popping up, it just slopes downward.
Yeah.
I know personally as a writer, I don't tend to do that. I usually go upwards. So it kind of, I don't know, kind of feels like the chorus goes in a different direction. I think that lends that kind of like dipping sort of into something, you know. But
yeah,
Ian's great, man. Ian's a genius. He's just put out a record himself too, so you guys should check that out too.
Oh, okay. What's it called?
His band's called Future Now, and his new record's called Second Skin.
Second?
Yeah,
did you say, no, sorry, Second Skin or Sucking Skin? There's a, I don't want to get Googled the wrong way here. Okay.
Second.
Okay. Second. Jesus Christ.
Although that would be a definite alt title. But I was going to say, though, Ian is like a genius. He's a fucking kick-ass producer, and I'm very, very grateful to have him in the loop.
Ian Blurton's Future Now is what the band's called on Spotify.
Yep.
Yeah, here we go. Second Skin confirmed. Like a Ghost is a single. The Power of No is a single. I'm going to cheekily play a little bit of it then. Quick.
Oh
quick
my
30
God.
seconds.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm going to fucking jam this after we're done. Yeah. Actually, wait. Let me hear the vocals. Wait. Is it going to be like?
No. He doesn't go way up.
Okay.
He's high. He needs to go high. But...
Okay, let's see.
Do you want to believe in the fate of yours?
This is flipping sweet.
The present ignites, died in bones for both.
I think it's safe to say he's an Aussie fan. Okay, yes, I like his how he carries over the vocals there.
Yeah, he's rad.
The slightly
But yeah,
elongated
he's
words.
been a real partner in crime for me on these past 3 records. So 3, 4, I'm losing track, but I think 4. I think now. Anyway, can't say enough good things about Ian Blurton.
No, and do these all amount to a record then, or are we going singles for the next little bit here, or
For my shit, my
Yeah.
stuff. Well, I'm putting out a record this October.
oh yeah, sorry, the 21st. Yeah.
Yeah. These songs will like mountain on and on. I got 1 single coming out in September, 3rd single. And then I might sneak 1 more out like right before the record. But October 21st, the whole album will come out. And then I got another batch that hopefully I can go into the studio this fall and finish for 1 more record. And then I'm going to like fucking think about what the fuck I'm doing and stop moving for 1 second. I think. But I don't know. But yeah, for now, first things first, record's coming out October 21st.
Yeah, I was just checking. My point there is with my miswording is that are these going to be on that, or will they stand alone and then that stand alone? But
No,
they'll be the same.
they're gonna be on that record. And then like I said, I'll put out another single September 9th, I think we're gonna go with. And that'll be everything that comes out between now and October will be a part of the record.
Okay, sweet. No, the anxiety thing is I could talk about mental health for hours and hours and hours. It's so paramount to converse. It's so key to converse is probably a better phrase and sentence choice. But and without going into complete detail, but as I alluded to earlier, I had an unfortunate instance when I was 10 years old involving 2 other gentlemen. And that really did mess up my youthful freedom and trust of anyone. I was petrified of any kind of physical interaction, really until I was in my early 20s. And I would cry pretty much every time when it rained because they tried to, they tried to make sure that I couldn't tell anyone per se. And so I've always had that's why I'm so detailed about everything. That's why I'm so, when it comes to listening to songs, willing to be in different emotions and moods and diving into a song that I thought I might love in this mode or not that. I just want to find out everything I can about me, everything I can about anyone like you that affects me and galvanizes me and in a certain way. And that was one thing that through my teenage years I was wearing. And it was difficult because my dad was a policeman. My mum was a nurse. Then when they got married, my grandfather, whatever deal they struck was that they would leave that and then move out of London. And so I grew up in a small town called Malmesbury that is now a massive town because it's essentially run and owned by Richard Dyson, who does the vacuums. Some might say Hoover.
I know Dyson.
And so I've always had sleeping issues. Well, I always did have a lot of sleeping issues. It's improved the older I've got with chilling
Did it
out.
stem from that? Did it stem from that incident or your
Yeah,
whole life?
exactly. Exactly. It stemmed from that and just not really trusting
Motherfuckers,
anyone.
That shit pisses me off so much, man.
Yeah, but then I was wearing like lots of heart monitors to track palpitations and anxiety, and I was on different medication in my teenage years. And when I moved to Canada, and again, I mean, this is something that I learned when I've been in radio for only a year or so, and then was invited to a mental health chat, and I was speaking about how I don't take any medicine anymore, but I do smoke and I do use other forms of medicine and herbs per se. And and some doctors really didn't like that. So I'm not here to say to anyone that's listening or watching.
But we all make our choices,
exactly,
right?
And that's what I felt I'd said.
But someone who's on a prescription is no worse or better. You've made a choice. You've made a choice for yourself. That's all it is. Same with weed or other herbal remedies or whatever you want to pick. You pick it for yourself, right? And you don't have to answer to anybody on that shit either way.
Yeah, they were slightly perturbed by me going on stage and saying that, but I felt I also said, like, you do you, and I'm not disrespecting any part of the system. But it's it's just such a fascinating. All our minds are so different and unique and intricate, and it's so fascinating. But at the same time, we can combine and we can learn from others to help tackle. It's like, we're talking about earlier in the conversation how you've been an independent artist for all these years. I'm talking about and trying to clock into how do I try and extract from you some confidence and history to then apply to my own independent baby and what was that radio and what I'm trying to do. And that is what also ties in to the thread of this entire conversation about the lack of the music venues we're losing and the way that streaming is going. And there are lots of positives, yes, but there is also that backbone and foundation of the unknown and the worry that can come within that. So it's just me basically saying I appreciate that you've been so utterly honest. I felt that though from even when I first Instagrammed and said, "Oh shit, I've got this song. You're a song of the week. I don't know if you want to do a chat. Here's the website. What's up? You can check it out." And because since I've left the mainstream now, it's like, well, how many listeners do you get, and how many people are going to hear this, and what are your metrics? And it's not necessarily I understand that, but it's not about that with these conversations. So I just appreciate the energy that you've put into this conversation and the frank attitude that you've brought.
And I could say the same for you. Like you've put your heart on your sleeve as well, which encourages that in response.
Yeah, that's a big key. A lot of people in media presume that by proxy of having a position to ask the question, they should get the answer. But sometimes you need to both walk to the water and both take a drink of it. Otherwise, you won't understand. They won't understand who you are. They'll just think like, oh, tell me about that breakup that inspired this song. And it's like, gee, oh my God, how are we going to get into that?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think we've all had enough surface conversations to kill dozens of people. So
gosh,
it's boring, man. So fucking boring. I mean, the worst thing you're going to do with a conversation like this is say a little too much, but I think that maybe the world could use a bit more of that anyway. So fuck.
Well, authenticity and honesty is key. And there'll always be people that necessarily won't jive or dance with. We can't all get along, but we can find ways to respect other viewpoints. Anyway, have you ever written a song about a bird? All these birds that you open windows in your screens? No?
I have like an old song called Backyard. That's sort of no bird references, but they live out there. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to damage the bird relationship and put it into music. Just let them be pretty out there.
Okay. Not going to do a Taylor Swift then and write about all the birds that you've seen on the patio. And
I mean, fuck. Who knows what I may do? I may get desperate. I had some recordings with the birds in the background, so see if we can squeeze them on a record.
And I cheekily asked that as a way to dive into how you go about writing lyrics. Do you do themes? Do you just write about experiences? Do you write about character experiences that reflect yourself? Is it changed throughout every record the last several years? How do you do it?
I think sometimes I get more often than not, I get sort of melodies first, and then sometimes I can really back myself into a corner because I'll say something phonetically in the demo, and then no matter what I do, no matter how great the words are, they just sound like shit, and the only thing that sounds good is that phonetic, I guess, scatting, for lack of a better word, only it's not like jazz or anything. But so that's kind of problematic. Sometimes lately I've found like I'll listen to it phonetically and I can hear words, and then that sometimes leads me weirdly. It's almost, I figure it's sort of subconscious, right? Because sometimes I'll say a line unconsciously as I'm demoing. I'm writing a lot of songs lately, right? So it's pretty consistent that I've been writing. And sometimes I'll just sing a line unconsciously, and then I'm like, that's kind of cool, and it like lyrically can lead me down a path, you know? Or like, let's say with Mountain, I'm fucking having panic attacks all the time and I'm trying to just calm myself down. So that's a little more specific, you know, specific writing, less stream of conscious or whatever.
Let's listen to a little bit of "I Won't Be Home for Christmas." Was this released as a Christmas song?
Yeah, I released this last November.
2021.
I did that here where I'm fucking sitting, and then Ian, the guy we were talking about, he's helping me out with everything. He mixed it. I don't know if he had guitars. No, I did a Christmas song the year before he added guitars. He just mixed it for me, and and I didn't write it because it's Blink-182.
Exactly. So I was about to say just quickly, hey Siri, how many days until Christmas? 152 days? Yeah, we're good to go. It'll be on the show. They'll be selling Christmas lights next week. All right.
Exactly.
Let's dive into this a second. I'm just basically working backwards through the last 5 or 6 releases. We'll play a little sample of Mon Ami, also from
No, wait, that's not me. That's just some random gene that made it into my Spotify. Not my shit. Spotify is a disaster sometimes. So if you have like a similar name, someone can like accidentally gonna be put onto your profile. That's what that is. Pay no attention. Not me.
Well, that's interesting because I had a lot of questions about that because
I bet you did.
It really,
I never even listened to it.
It really fucking stands out compared to the rest of your stuff. Also, the fact that it's produced by Killing Everyone You Love in all caps locks.
I've seen the cover. I've never listened to it. I never looked into it. God knows, but it's not mine. It's just infiltrating my profile.
Okay, but Recklessly is you, right?
Recklessly? Oh, yeah.
Now I'm second guessing everything I fucking listen to.
No, like, I think
no, I'm being sarcastic.
I'm pretty sure everything is good except for that weird one. And then maybe some old, but majority, 99% is all good. So.
Okay, that's trippy shit. It's a shame they can't disconnect it. Is that why you went Jeen full stop for a little bit? Branding wise?
No. That thing came like a couple, last year, I think it showed up.
Yeah, it did.
I've been putting it out as Jeen for years now, like with no last name, so.
All right, let's do a bit of Recklessly.
Show
It's got that seamless Jeen vocal again. What question that I've missed asking now, and I've just reminded myself, is that how do you record vocals? It feels like you're sat down really comfortably and just like holding the microphone like this. Like, let's.
Well, I find that's
It's so
I'm trying to
intimate.
think. We started doing that, but I don't think it was that record. The record that's currently being released, like right now, the one coming out in October, Ian put me in the corner and I brought my own mic, which is like right beside me, but I'm afraid to yank it over like I'm going to knock a bunch of shit over. But I brought my own mic, which is a really nice one. And that's how we did this current record. But the Recklessly record, I can't remember if I stood or sat up. I always sit down. So once in a while in the studio, I'll stand up, or Ian will be like, because he's my co-producer. So I, look to him for advice, and he'll be like, stand up, and they'll do it. But the last record I did, or this current record's entirely on my butt singing. So it's definitely my position of choice for vocals. But yeah, so you're right.
And I think it ties into that awesome, just chilled vibe that you have, no matter the subject matter that you're covering, that can be very diverse. But it just seems like you're so chilled out, because I think of that because I think back to when I was studying musical theatre, and like I was a performing arts school half a lifetime ago, and the theatre coach was like, you're going to need to stand up, okay? None of you get to sit down. Yeah. I want your full lung capacity. I want it ready.
I've had a lot of that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I know what you mean.
So for me, I was like, oh, this reminds me of when I just sat down and tried to sing choral parts, and they'd be like, get up, you lazy shit. But I felt that I sang better when I sat down.
Yeah, you probably did.
More comfortable. So that's
but
why
I get both, like sometimes, like, I don't know, like if I have to hit like a really big note, I get it, but I can hit big notes sitting down slumped. So I feel like that it must not be that affected, like your diaphragm or whatever it is. Like, so, and I, like you say, I sometimes feel like I straight up sing better. I also think I'm less shaky because I'm a little bit more like huddled, like if you're standing, I don't know, not like you're going to fall over, but I don't know, feels a little less stable. And I feel like I can hear that in my voice a little, like it's just a little less chill because I'm standing, and it's a little bit like literally equilibrium, right? Because I mean, your voice is just your part of your body. So if my equilibrium is focused on standing, I know it sounds asinine because most people stand and sing, but if you get accustomed to singing sitting down, I think you can get kind of hooked on it for sure,
Nothing's asinine in these conversations. It's all awesome context and information behind the artist. That actually, is that the way that you've always performed vocally, or has that shifted over the years? Because what were the inspirations for you vocally when you left high school and you're like, fuck this, I'm starting a band? Who were the most played in your collection?
Oh man, I mean, I had different phases. I'm pretty, like, weirdly, I don't listen to any music right now, and I haven't for like over decade, 15 years, which is pretty fucking weird. I hope I get over that, but I literally don't listen to it anymore. So I feel really foreign even answering a question about when I did listen to music, because of course I did listen to loads of it as like a kid and stuff. And I guess I went through phases. I had like loved Pink Floyd, The Who, The Kinks, all that, and then like Jane's Addiction, Nirvana, and even like metal to a degree is just at least an influence. I wouldn't say so much as I'm doing it myself, but like there's an edge, a grit to metal that is very respectable in my opinion. Like, so I love that. I don't know.
Well, let's dive into what you just said that I find even more fascinating. I mean, number one, you put a Kinks cover up on your Instagram today.
Yeah. Yes, I did that today.
But number two, you said that you don't listen to anything. What do you mean by you don't listen to anything for the last 10, 12, 15 years? What does that mean? You literally don't have...
No.
You don't you don't constantly put a song on, and what if one comes on do you watch TV? Do you watch?
I mean, I go grocery shopping, so I hear it in the grocery store,
Yeah.
But sometimes I swear I'm in the grocery store and I'll hear something. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here, just because of what's on the on the speakers. Like, it's just a bit of a I guess a problem. I don't know. I just can't listen. I mean, I could put on like classical music or even metal or rap, because I don't do it myself. So it's a little bit easier, I guess. I don't tend to put that music on, but I could potentially have less issues with that. I just, whenever I hear music now, maybe because I've just been doing it too much, too often, I just fucking analyze the shit out of it. Or I'm
Right.
like, why? Like, I just can't. It's just not relaxing. It's not enjoyable. It creates a shitty feeling, not because the music's shitty. It's too visceral for
It's
me. It's too like,
overstimulating.
yeah, it's not what music's supposed to be, right?
Now, further,
Anymore.
do you mean,
Kind of bums me out.
are
but-
you talking to in and around the genre of the type of music you make that you try and stay away from?
No, I mean, like,
You
I mean
everything.
a lot
Right.
of everything. Like, maybe, like I say, like orchestral is okay to put on in the background. Like classical music, it doesn't really do that to me because it's just a totally different breed. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I can't analyze it very well, right? Because I don't work in that genre, or it's such a different genre in the sense of it not being choruses and verses and bridges, and it's more a vast kind of template. But yeah, when I say I don't listen to music, I sadly really mean it pretty thoroughly, and sometimes it actually bums me out because I'm like, I feel like I wrecked listening to music or something. But I figure one day I'm going to come around. Or sometimes I hear a song or I can't watch a movie because the soundtrack's too fucking annoying, like stuff like that, where I'm like, somebody, I want to watch that movie. Oh, I can't. There's no way I can watch that movie. There's 20 fucking songs in it, like, oh God. Yeah. It's stupid. I
No.
hope it changes. I hope one day I'm like, I have like this, like I feel 16 again because I start listening to a bunch of music when I'm fucking 65 or something, and I'm like, wow, so much great music. I don't know. My head's, I don't know, kind of fucked up with it, I guess.
Well, no, that's completely fair enough. It's not stupid at all. It's what keeps you comfortable and calm, and it's your life, for goodness sake. I also
Yeah, but
think
I feel too, I have to say that I do feel like I'm kind of losing out on something, by not enjoying it anymore. But I think I'll come around. I think it's just a mega long phase.
yeah, I don't think you need to force yourself into discomfort to try and find comfort. That's risky.
And I'm writing it all the time. I'm like making music constantly, like, because I'm putting out the records one a year. So I got to write, like, I have to write early in the year if I'm going to put the record out the following year, right? So I kind of have to be one record ahead of myself if I'm going to put one out every year. So, I'm immersed in music. And I guess that does sort of make sense. If you're immersed in something, you may not find it chill and relaxing when it's your time off. I don't know.
No, it's completely warranted. Where my mind goes is, number one, it speaks to how you stand out so much because
Yeah.
you're not being
I
influenced.
actually hate that. I have to say it's a little bit irritating because, like, sometimes I've said in the studio, I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta start listening to music or something because I do have lack of reference, right? Like, I don't know really what's going on. I hear it because I'm in music cycles in terms of releasing, so I hear bits and pieces, but not much because I don't seek it out, right? I don't press play. It's so bad to admit.
I don't think it's bad to admit. I think you're being harsh on yourself. I think when I think to myself and speak to my journey, and I think of what was at radio, I have barely listened to any commercial radio, any podcasts, anything. All I've been focused on is building my baby, and your records are your babies. And so
I gotta say too, I think it's really stopped with streaming. Like it started shifting around that time when all that just took right over. I just also don't get those systems. You know what I mean? That's not even on a judge on the morals of those systems. I'm just talking about it like being a little bit too old school. Where I'm like, I guess, going into those systems and becoming that kind of a user, I'm like, man, that's just not my bag. I'm not going to do that. Like, not because I'm against it or anything. It's just not me, like I can't really see myself going. So I think that that made it worse, maybe, you know what I mean? Like if it was still just a go buy a CD and that's how you listen, I probably would be buying some CDs because I'd be like, oh, I wonder what this is like. I might not play it much, but I might buy it. But going into like this sea of streaming, it's just, I'm like, I don't even know what to do in here, you know? And I don't want to fucking be in here anyway. So
Well, and then you've got people
it's
pretending to
really-
be you, and they're releasing songs with Death Killer Face or whatever they're called. So but then another point that I would counteract about me and to diminish the need to be too harsh on yourself is like I've got nearly 1,000 records. When I moved in here, it was me, cats, some books, like the same pair of jeans times 3 and the same black shirt times 5 and enough underwear to get through a week, and then 1,000 records that we had to find a way to squeeze in. But we've barely put on any records the last year and a half because of oh wow, there's now actually a pool and a shade tent on the patio here. It's as
I feel
big.
like I'm missing out.
It's
Like,
I think we're both missing out. It's as big as the patio. They've got chairs in it. Oh my god, are you two watching us out there in the tent? If it looks incredible, they've got the phone out there. Oh, good grief. But the records, like I've got a bunch of records up here from bands that we've supported over the last year. Those ones we've listened to. But there's hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds. It's just life will ebb and flow in its own unique way for the unique individual. And I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said. I don't find it shocking or crazy or nuts. I completely understand when you're going through your own cycle of creative art, you maybe don't what you've already explained. I'm not going to speak back to you what you said the last 5
but
minutes.
I mean, it's not just when I'm writing either. It's just now it's become just a permanent thing. Like I said, like certain movies that actually I can't even watch movies very well either. That's just a focus thing. Whatever. I just quirks, you know. But the music thing is a bit of a bitch because I'm like, I just hope I'm not like. Sometimes I'll write songs. I'm like, what's this so fucking? Not that it's weird. It's not weird enough to be weird, but it's not mainstream enough to be mainstream, you know. So I'm like. I should be listening to what's going on out there, but not tempted enough to do it yet. It just bugs too much. I just don't care. I got to take care of my brain or I won't do anything.
As long as you don't put any... Okay, before I make this quip, to the wonderful selection of human specimen that are here watching right now, I see that Courtney is still here a few hours later. We're into the last sort of 5-10 minutes of this conversation with the wonderful Jeen, who's over in Toronto, if I am correct, right? Ontario time, at least we were
just outside of Toronto,
connected with. So if you've got anything that you want to comment on or ask Jeen at all, throw it in the comments in the chat right now. Please get involved. If you're good, you just do what's comfortable to you. But we're into the last little home stretch here. A flippant comment for you, Jeen, which is you just gotta, it's gotta make sure you get as many hoes and hays in your new songs as possible and everything will be fine. And I also say that with a request that you don't put any hoes or hays in the new songs and you'll be fine too. All of a sudden it was like, oh, Mumford & Sons. Now what we need is a bunch of, and Mumford & Sons are a world-class band. I went to
totally like that's it.
World-class.
Because you use something as a reference doesn't mean you think it's shit, but
Yeah.
I hear you.
Or is it now known as Mumford and formerly the Sons?
What happened there? And somebody left because they were all conservative, freakish, but they were, I don't know, it was amicable. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Actually, I did some writing in the UK years ago, and one of the co-producers, like it was a writing camp where you have to like write a song a day. Like it's just like a weird process. But he was my one day I worked with him. He played like, what did he play? Like trombone, I think, one of the brass instruments from Mumford and Sons, and he went all around the world. He was with them during that big peak, right when they hit it, and it was cool. He was a cool guy, but it was kind of neat to hear his stories, like, because that was pretty much top of the ladder, those guys at the peak of that record, whatever it was that just fucking exploded.
Yeah, back to the Cave days and the Babel days. Oh, I've run out of tea. That's always a good sign. That's a sign that we've been going.
So have I, actually.
When I run out of tea, that means I've had 6 cups equivalent, and usually been speaking for an hour and a half. We've been speaking for now, at this point, 2 hours.
Perfect. Well, it's a good thing you're not drinking coffee, and it's a good thing you quit booze.
Yes, and yes, absolutely. But with the Mumford and Sons, yeah, I think now it's just Mumford and retired sons. I mean, they're taking a hiatus. Mumford and oh my god, my sons grew up and stole my keys, and I can't get to where I want to go now. I don't know but Marcus is still. He's just launched a solo single, and
yeah, the main guy, right?
and he got Steven Spielberg to direct it, and it's literally just him sat on a chair and a gradual zoom into him. So
Dude, you could have
I
got
love
your
that
buddy
shit.
to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Could have done that on the iPhone 10, mate. But get
wow. But
Spielberg.
although you couldn't say Steven Spielberg did it.
No, he just directed it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you just got your buddy to film that, you couldn't say Steven Spielberg did it, which was a pretty big name to add. I'd be happy to make a post like that. Hey, check out my video by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, but does Marcus Mumford need Steven Spielberg?
Do
No.
any of those guys need anything? But they keep getting it. And I mean, they're already up there. Once you're up there, you're good to fucking go. No one gives a shit anymore. You can do whatever you want once you're up in the clouds like that.
He could have just sat on a carrot in a farmer's field, and it would have been just as beautiful and emotive.
Yeah, you can do anything. You can access anybody. Like I mean, honestly, that's the fucking dream, to be up the success ladder that much, because then you get all your things. Then you get the acreage. You can make your festival and your 6 studios on your 20 acres. Like, God, man, it's endless. Dreams.
Yeah, sweet dreams are made of these moments. And who are we to disagree that we could achieve? Anyway, so... Yeah, no, and when I said to sit on a carrot, the carrot would be flat. I'm not making some sadistic joke. He'd be in a carrot field. That's just where my...
I didn't even think about it.
No, I'm just thinking about it for saving anyone that's going to comment in the chat later on saying, oh, tell us more about those carrots. We don't need to go any further or any deeper with the carrots, so to speak. Okay, well, what's the goal? What's the plan then? We the single in September, the record in October on the 21st. And then you've already got stuff ready to hopefully dive into the studio early next year, and then you want to chill out and just take some stock and sit down.
I don't know. I might try a side project, or I was thinking another thought I might do. Like, I guess because chill out could have a few different forms. Chill out could mean I'm just not going to do another Jeen record consecutively. Maybe I do a side project, or another thing I was thinking I might do this side project or not, like go over my body of work that's been released and pick, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 of the heavier tunes and make them into like really chill lullaby acoustic-y versions, just make a little EP, not make a big deal out of it, just put it out and make it really chill. It's for fun. But I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I can't really guess where my head's going to be at, but I know that I'm going to try and make this one more record because I got the songs written. Side projects are intriguing me for sure, but I'm not gonna
commit,
make anything for sure. I don't know, who knows, right?
When you say side projects, would you want a whole different genre of music completely?
I don't think I'd do something like totally the same, because I don't know if I'd see the point in that, if I did a side project, I would want to change.
Because you play multiple instruments as well. So, I mean, you could click into...
Yeah, I'm like a bit of a hack. Like, I mean, songwriting and singing is my thing. Like, guitar, man, it's like, it hurts, like when I change my strings for the studio, I'm always like bitching. I'm like, it hurts my fingers. So truly, like, in terms of player, I'm a wimp. I'm like, but yes, I can use all these things to write a tune. I think that would be a better. I got good time. I can play guitar in good time and feel and shit. Like, I don't suck. I'm not trying to diss myself, but I don't know. I see some people that just much more in the player realm than myself, but yeah, I could play. I think I could play a different instrument. The only instrument I think I feel comfortable really on stage, like in a side project scenario, would be like bass or acoustic guitar, probably. If I had a guitar tech, because I also get a lot of anxiety with all the pedals, like something's gonna fuck up, so I need like somebody standing there to help me too. No, I don't. I'm not that wimpy, but in a perfect world, I'd have somebody standing there, so something fucked up they'd pick, like the beginning of this conversation. is a good example. You know,
Yeah.
like I just fucked it up, or it was fucking up. And then once it's fucking up, that's when you're like, oh my God. So I don't want to do that on stage, right?
Yeah, Stefan came in and got the camera going. We switched to the iPad for those that have recently joined the conversation.
Yeah.
What was I going to say that you inspired something then for a second? Hopefully it'll come back. Bill has said in the chat, and I know you were alluding to this about an hour and 20 minutes ago about the difficulty financially of hitting the road, but Bill was wondering if there is going to be any sort of Canadian tour at all. Would you be anywhere near us at any point? I mean, it's so
I
difficult.
would love to. Like, there's nothing I'd love more. It's just like I look, the logistics are like I can't afford it. Like, it's so depressing to say that, but it costs a lot of money, man. Like, to even play one show costs money. I don't draw like big numbers either, right? So I'm not going to go to a bar and go, yeah, man, I'm for sure going to pull 200 people. Yeah, fucking right. If I pulled 200 people, I would be like so stoked, but I don't know. So that's another, like, how, like, it's like honestly, probably one of my biggest obstacles, dilemmas, all of that. And going back to side project, I sometimes feel like if I did a side project, I'd just make it something so dead simple. So at least that would be less, I don't know. I'm going down another path right now, but I don't know. I would love to play, but I just want to do it right. You know, I don't want to go up in some shit ass set and bad sound and like walk out $200 in the hole, you know, shit like that. Like, it's not, like I said, I put these records out myself. You know, I just don't have this, I don't have a budget, right? And I know a lot of bands tour with zero budget, you know, you don't need a budget, you just go. But I like I said earlier, where it's like, I kind of have to choose. Am I going to put out a record or am I going to go on tour? I can't float both. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. And then there's COVID and all the fucking bullshit with that. Like you said, venues are closed. The rules at bars are pretty fucked up. You know, like I've put my toe in a little and emailed a little here and there. And honestly, it made me go, yeah, this isn't going to work, man. Like, people, you know, I'm not going to get into details because I don't want to get personal, but it's like a hard thing being made harder and harder every day, you know?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're getting at, and it's already been pretty personal for 2 hours. But yeah, I mean, that would unlock a conversation that so many are very
there's
particular about.
Bars will charge fees at times, right? Like, you know, for their door person, their sound guy. It's like, you know, you haven't even played the gig yet and you owe money. Fuck, man.
Yeah,
like, please.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Anyway, I will play because I would love to. There's nothing, it really fucking depresses me, actually, not being able to have that part of my career be flourishing, you know, have it just be kind of dormant. So it's in the forefront of my mind every year, every time I put out a record. But I'm like, do I go play a handful of shows or do I put out another record, you know? Now, I guess it's not that black and white, but do I go on a tour, budget a tour, or do I put out another record? You know, those are pretty black and white. I don't know. I hope so. Yes. Yes. The answer is yes, because I will play, because I cannot, you know, the logistics are a nightmare.
The wuzzers and those gathered here right now are going to say it again, is that the plan is, with your support and as we grow, I cannot wait to email you and say, we've bought you and Stefan a plane ticket and you're going to be playing a show here with these other bands. Like, that is, I am so adamant that it will get to that stage where I can contact, I think it would be, yeah, like Spiral Drive out of Germany and Bexley from California, Jeen out of Ontario. I think it would be incredible if that was the first experience of what was that little show we could put on. I think it would be awesome to do that. And it would be, you could pay what you want when you come in. All the performers would be guaranteed money, obviously, but it would be in order to fill a room to actually help spread word. You know, sometimes people can't afford or can't get out to the show I'm sure the open is great, but I want to start shows where there is no fucking money. You just show up and get in. And then by proxy of knowing it's a WWTR show, you know that it's going to be shit hot no matter what and where the artist is from. So that's a goal. And hearing you speak about that is only galvanizes me more to go about shrewdly and maturely building this. What was that radio? It has to happen. The world is going and we're gonna close up the chat. And Bill saying makes sense. So then you can go and have your evening and dinner, and you've been amazing for 2 hours. To speak with you for so long is so awesome. Thank you. But to finish it on a positive, there's nothing wrong with the negative energy of the worry about how do we get out there and tour. This is a very real situation. And in many
I just want to say quickly too, I'm looking every day at bands who are on tour, way fucking bigger than me, canceling.
Yeah.
That's pretty disheartening for me. Cause I'm like, if they fucking can't do it, you know what I mean? Like there's a bleak reality out there for bands bigger than me who are capable of touring.
Yeah.
And anybody, all you have to do is open your eyes, man. It's bigger than me. It's bands acts bigger than me are having difficulties. It's difficult. And then I look at that and go, fuck man, why would I'm doomed then. Cause they can't even keep it together.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just needed to add that because I feel like it's part of the picture when you see bands who you think should have no problems pulling this off and they're out there going, fuck, we're fucked. Then it's bad.
Well, it's that phrase again, perception versus reality. One of my favorite bands are Mastodon, and they came out and said 18 months ago, we're selling everything. We're selling all our clothes, any instrument we've ever played, because they were broke. They said we can't tour, we can't make money.
Really?
And they're still a band. They've released a record since then, but they had to sell near everything to fund.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they set up an Instagram account just to sell off secondhand Mastodon stuff, like drumsticks.
Like they're huge.
Yeah, they're massive. This is an arena band.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what I'm saying. So then when you ask me if I'm going to go on tour, like, holy shit, to me, those guys are like the shit. It's just the question answers itself. If Mastodon's selling their shit on Instagram, well, fuck, man, fuck me. It's a very good example of what I'm saying. Like, it's just like, it's different, man. It's different. And I'll tell you, like, this system that the music industry has become is what's just murdering the shit out of everybody. Even Mastodon.
Just flicking through some Jeen here. The last thing I'll ask you, and I appreciate the willingness to dive into conversation that you won't really see in many of these other, and it's nothing against Rock Sound or Kerrang or Rolling Stone or NME, but a lot of these questions won't appear in conversations because of systems and not wanting to ruffle the feathers. So I appreciate that you've been.
I myself won't appear, but yes.
I appreciate that you've been completely candid and honest with how you feel, because it's just conversation that needs to happen. And for the most part, most of the people watching right now, they understand. But if they didn't, they've had a much more refined look through your lens into the struggle and the difficulty of the passion of the arts at times. But
the passion is the main thing, and that's what makes me not stop.
Exactly, holding on to the passion, utilizing that energy to keep driving forward and through those obstacles or over those obstacles, or not even just ignoring them, but still finding a passage to release and create is crucial. But the last thing I'll ask you is, with the last 2 hours and everything that you've shared and that you've passionately dived into, is what's one of the songs that you're most proud of that you've ever released, and why?
Oh man, last question. I don't know. Oh, Jesus Christ. John.
We have to end it with a Jeen acknowledging Jeen's brilliance. That's why this is the last question.
So brain dead. I'm like, what did I even put out? I can't even remember. I like Better Drugs too. I'm into that one. Maybe I'll Be Gone. I kind of like that one. With an old song, I kind of like, I probably should be saying things of more current, but I like the song Jungle. It's pretty old, and it's just done here. It's a little bit more lo-fi, but I mean, there's a handful of ones I like. So,
but why are you proud of those three? Why were they the first? That when you were frustrated having to think that far back, why did they pop up first? What's the nugget around them that makes them special to you?
Maybe better drugs because you put it in my head. I must admit. Maybe I'll be gone. I just kind of like, sometimes I get a little too like abstract with my lyrics. I like that it's kind of like a little more concise of a thought than me just kind of floating away. And Jungle, I think Jungle maybe is a little bit more like, it was sort of more of the moment for me, because I felt like I was kind of like getting into like a little bit more of a comfort zone, where like the next records, even though they were produced more in a big studio with Ian and all that kind of stuff, I feel like Gift Shop and Jungle was a little bit of me going, okay, I think I know, I got my footing a little better, you know, that record to me. So maybe that's more why on that one. And literally, I'm having a hard time remembering all my fucking songs right now. There's that too.
Well, it's because you're so prolific, according to your bio on the website.
I can't even remember what I have, but
well, let's play a little sample of both of those. This feels like a standing up singing song. Were you standing up for this one?
oh my god, that's a good question. Oh my god, I can't remember.
There seems to be more air in the delivery of it. That's my guesstimate. I also, as a drummer, I love the evolution of this song. I love how it plays. 8 bars, this 8 bars, that. Bring it back to the usual for 32. 8 bars, this 8 bar, that.
Yeah, it's just simple as hell, you know.
Yeah,
it's like,
I love it.
Someone in a review said that I wasn't reinventing the wheel. It was a nice review, and I was like, yeah, it's a good way of putting it. Like it's just simple, but I kind of just like that about it in a way, you know.
Yeah, it's
sometimes,
solid.
like I said, I don't listen to music, and sometimes I think I get too far off, and I feel like I kept on the straight and narrow with that one a bit.
Yeah, and sometimes simple things are great. Sometimes simple things are shit. It's all down to the artist that played the instrument. So that also helps. Great drumming. And let's just do a little bit of jungle, rather.
I have to leave this party. Oh, no offense, I'm sorry. It's getting late, and I can't concentrate. So please just tell me I'm disqualified. Hey, overdramatic and underprescribed.
I'm going to make more drumming comments because I love drums, and
He's a pretty good fucking drummer too.
I love the hi-hat sound that's been captured on this song, and I also love the tom production too. It's
Nice.
it's really effective. But
We did that up here, but then Ian mixed it and made it like a little more like a lot more of what you hear.
he made it more like, let's see, future now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll finish. Let's just check out a little bit of The Power of No by Ian Blurton's Future Now. And that is your little bit. So good. Okay. I'm going to dive into that. which Ian is in this picture? Does Ian have a gigantic beard, or does he have no beard and gigantic glasses?
He's got a beard. He's got a beard on that photo. I think his band photo's like got a baseball hat, I think, jean jacket, beard.
Okay, let me just show the chat. I'm thinking it's got to be this one. And by this one, it's got to be that Ian. Yeah, that's he just looks like he's a band leader in that picture. Oh, where did you go?
I didn't do it this time.
No, it was me. It's just that classic thing where I must have tapped a button and it minimized all the windows. There we go. Back to that. Wonderful. Well, Jeen, thank you so much for your time. This has been a real delight, and I've really appreciated the passion and the vigor of which you speak about the reality of some systems that get in the way, and that we need to do what we can as a community of loving musicians and loving musicologists to try and be more cognizant of these things to help. And it's the biggest thing that has broken my heart the last couple of years is the amount of funding that schooling has lost for the arts, and just it blows my mind. And it's just so crucial to our mindset and our happiness and our release. You know, if there was no, it's how I always come back to speaking about the Clash, and there are these gentlemen that are called Strummer and Co. just walking down Brixton in London, and like, what the fuck is going on in there? And all these wonderful souls that have come up from the Caribbean and Jamaica and West Indies, when the Queen said, well, we've had a few wars and we haven't really got anyone that wants to work in these industries. Will you come up as part of the Commonwealth? And they're like, yeah, okay. And then inspiring a whole new magnitude of passion and performance and the view of the UK at the time with the Clash. So, you know, we need to make sure that, and you referenced Jimi Hendrix earlier, we need to make sure that all these small places and venues and artists have some structure and help. And there are great systems with grants you can apply for, but then we just got to make sure we keep pumping into the right. Anyway, so we don't go back into that.
I think too quickly, just to quickly say though, I think too that even though we've been talking about music, or I have anyway, being kind of bleak at this point, which it just fucking is, it's just the facts. I do think that, you know, it always lives, right? It always comes up again. And it might be shit now, but maybe once I'm dead, there's going to be loads of kids who are just like clashing it up. You know what I mean? They're just there are going to be the Jimi Hendrix and the Pink Floyds, and they're going to fuck shit up. It's just, we're at a point where, you know, no individual can fuck up the corporations that are smothering us all. But, you know, it'll change because it'll get broken through by music makers, you know, like fuck, like it always has, but it's just a bit of a rough go right now.
Yeah, that just made me think of Neil Young, but that's a conversation for another time. And it's a shame that he chose to go against the streaming platforms, against freedom of speech, rather than the artist's integrity and payout. That was strange.
Yeah, he was kind of weird there, right? Like, I love Neil Young, but then also like the next day he's like all over Amazon, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, bud, like, all right, whatever. Like, fuck, I'm not here to judge, but that's a weird move.
It was a strange move. Anyway, Jeen, thank you so flipping much.
Thank you.
Send my regards to Stefan for his help as well, and to the iPad that we're now going to call Wuzzy.
Yes.
We appreciate you, Wuzzy, for working, and appreciate all the people that have been with us throughout this conversation for the last 2 hours and 40 minutes I've been streaming. So thank you all for being here. And yeah, I think pretty sure Courtney has watched it the whole way through, aka Peen Train. To Jody and Harley out on the patio, I'll see you in a second. To Bill, to Perch Life, to Alicia, to Alien, to Alexis, to someone simply called Feet, which is a great name. And to Janelle, to Janelle, to Josiah, to 420, to all these wonderful souls and interesting names in the chat. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for listening, for sure.
Courtney saying, great interview. Yeah, just a great conversation. Just a good old conversation. That's what I like with these. But yes, go and oh my gosh, I am. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting in. You gotta go get
in that pool.
I feel like I've already got several more liters to add to it now that I moved forward and my shirt unstuck from the back of the chair. But no, just thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of your evening. And yeah, we will absolutely speak again. I will absolutely continue to support you the best I can and play some music. And when the record's out, let's organize buying some signed CDs or vinyl, whatever it might be. And anyone in this moment that's watching this conversation, if you want to email whatwasthatradio@gmail.com and say, I was there for Jeen. You're automatically entered to win one of those prizes that we'll agree and sort out in the foreseeable future.
Thank you for having me, John.
Absolute pleasure. Have a fabulous rest of your night over there.
You too.
Bye.
soon. Bye.
All right. Zoom has popped up. Pro tip. Chat after your meeting. Keep the conversation going in Zoom chat. Send messages, files, and images to your teammates. Okay, I understand that. Thank you, Zoom. All right. Thank you all so much for being here and checking out the chat and the conversation with Jeen. That's probably going to be released on the podcast. If it's going to be Planes next week, probably 2 weeks from now. The next conversation here on twitch.tv/whatwasthatradio will be with a band also from Ontario called Ghosts on Planet Earth. Stuck on Planet Earth, pardon me. Stuck on Planet Earth. I love their song Ghosts on the radio. And then next week, there'll be a conversation with one of the most incredible guitar players on this planet, Marcus, otherwise known as Standards. If you go to whatwasthatradio.com, that is where you'll see the most recent updates on when the conversations are going down. The Standards chat is on Monday, and that will be at 5 p.m. Pacific time on the West Coast here. And Marcus will be over on the other side of the country. I think he's in New York or Boston, somewhere like that. So for him, it'll be 8 p.m.-ish. But yeah, that's that. Thank you all so much for being here. And whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, and as always, please look after yourself and hope there's some fun and smiles involved in the rest of it too, because we've got to cherish that positive. Finally, if you're here and it's your first time, please consider doing a cheeky follow. I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, for now, cheerio.